Hi.
Hey.
How you doing?
A little stressed.
Wow, my God.
I just sent Felipe our tweeted disclaimer that was going out here in the next minute or two.
This computer is slower than my abuela's 40. All right, 30 seconds.
need to lie down. Need a break.
It was really loud. No, I just stressed.
You're right.
I was really putting the tweet out. Had everything set up, putting the tweet out for the show. Computer locks up.
10 seconds.
Good morning, Paul and AJC.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. It's a Thursday on this first full week of May. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network. FloridaSportsNetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. We always hope your week is going well, and we're very appreciative of the fact that you spend even part of it with us. Mark, how are you this fine morning?
I am wide awake now, David. I am raring to go.
A little behind the scenes.
Everything broke down this morning.
At 5:53.
Hello. Yep. Bingo. Everything was running along very swimmingly. Got up, got everything done, got in here.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, the computer in which David and I connect with one another on locked up.
Boom. Right.
And this thing is slow.
Yes, it
is. Commodore 64 computer from 1982 did not want to get working this morning.
Felipe, what was your line? Or are you allowed to say that on the air? Or you're going to get in trouble with family?
No, a computer is slower than my grandma's 40.
A lot better when you use
abuela. My abuela.
Thank you.
Sorry, I did say abuela at first.
Yeah, I'll do it again. Felipe, what did you say about the computer?
The computer is slower than my abuela's 40.
Whoa!
He doesn't have knees.
So, yes, behind the scenes, get a text at about 5, because for 2 minutes we were connected. I'm watching Mark, he's doing his thing, and I'm like, oh, okay. I'm going to wait until he makes eye contact, then maybe one of us will speak to the other. And all of a sudden I look up and there's no Miller and Moulton on the screen. And a couple minutes later, I get a text that says, I got computer problems. We're working on it. All righty then. Smoke them if you got them. So, listen, did you win last night? Are you 0-2 as the interim or 1-1?
Well, found out coach was actually there. We lost anyhow. This just in, David. We're not good. Well, and it really bothers, I think, the head coach. It really bothers, I think, a lot of the parents, because one of the main jobs as an assistant coach of a U8 softball team for both the teams, because we pretty much play the same team over and over. We go to a town nearby, a town south, a town north to play a few teams. But for the most part, it's been an inter-squad scrimmage against the other team from my area over and over, and they have been kicking our behind. But the big thing is that the catcher in a U8 softball game can't catch at all. One of the worst players is usually put behind the mound, or behind the plate, rather. So what you do as an assistant coach, David, is you go back to the backstop and you collect the balls, because it's machine pitch. And then you give them back to the coach who's using the machine. And when you're back by the backstop, I hear all the parents. I talk to some that I know, hi, hello, how are you?
Right.
For the most part, I get things like, what's the score? And I usually answer with, I don't know.
I'm only a coach.
But you know me with this. I don't care what the score is.
Nor should you. All right. Your daughter just turned 9. Correct.
The objective is for all of these kids to get what? Better.
And
period.
Play.
And have fun.
Right. And go home and get a good night's sleep. Correct. We're trying to tire them out before bedtime and a productive day at school tomorrow. That's the purpose of this.
The kids are getting a little sick of losing. They know what the score is. And
Right.
I actually appreciate that to a certain degree. It's like that shows they have some competitive spirit. But it doesn't matter. At the end of the game, they still run as fast as they can for the quick handshake line and then get their snacks, Gatorade, and go home.
Yeah. See, you don't do the snacks don't differ win or lose, do they?
No.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, back in the day, all right, the post-game spread, and I use that phrase very loosely, the post-game spread was determined by the final score. That's all I'm saying. All right. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, since I know that winning and losing is very important to the head coach, if maybe there's an instruction going, listen, bring the snacks, but if we lose, you hold off on that last one. They're not getting that. I'm tired of the losing here. Mark, you've been in a locker room before. What does a coach do? When a coach is really angry, what do? You turn over the post-game spread. You really want to shake up the locker room, all right? You can cut a couple guys, which you can't do in under 8-9 softball, or you topple over the post-game spread and have it laying there on the floor. That's wow. He's mad. We suck. We got to get it together. I miss my baloney.
So, true story. Going back to my minor league hockey days, I'm working for the Nashville Knights. Okay. I was on a roll of going to cities that got NHL teams. I worked for a minor league team in Atlanta. Boom. They ended up getting the Thrashers. Worked for a minor league team in Nashville. Boom. Predators. Worked for a minor league team in Raleigh. They're the Carolina Hurricanes. So basically, if you brought me in, that team was going to fold and you're going to get an NHL team. But we're in Nashville, or we're actually in Knoxville in a road game, and we lose, blow a game, whatever. And Mark Kumpel, our head coach, great guy, loved Kumps, and still do. And he comes in, he's going to throw his, one. You only can do the nutty table once or twice a year, because then it falls on deaf ears if you throw a nutty every 6 games.
Right. First half and second half of the season. I think you got one before the break and after the break.
Terrible little locker room in Knoxville. Rubber mats on the floors, obviously, for the skates. They're all wet. And it wasn't the spread as much as it was the Gatorades and the waters in that table that was in the middle of the room where the guys get their water. So that's the first thing he's going to throw. He comes in to throw the table, catches a loose, wet part of the floor with his feet, and goes ass over tea kettle.
Oh, no!
And
down goes Kumpel.
And as I'm hearing the story from the players, you can't laugh.
Oh, man, Coach, you okay?
Colin Ward, who's our assistant captain on the team, says, he goes, I just put the towel over my head, and I'm sure all he could see was shoulders bouncing up and down. And Kumpel's like, not one of you blank and laugh. Not one of you blank and laugh. So even the nutty throwing the table can backfire on the coach from time to time.
It can. It can. You can get hurt. It's kind of like the player walking off the court, punching a wall. No. 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 I was given a tip, by the way, many years ago. Pillow. You can punch a pillow. You can scream into a pillow. All right. That's all. I was given that tip many years ago. I asked, could I take it out on the golf course with me? Was told no. I went, oh, okay. I mean, if you think about it, why not?
Have it.
Why not? I mean, it's my 15th club. What it is, pillow.
If Dangerfield could have a keg in his bag, why can't you have a pillow in yours?
I agree. Totally. You fake as if you're using it to sit your butt on it. It's actually there for when your game goes awry. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, on this Thursday. Listen, last night was crazy. It was like an eclipse. I mean, it felt historic. There were 3 NBA and NHL playoff games that took place, and the home team went 3-0. What in the wide world of sports is going on? Honestly, I need a congressional investigation. All right. I don't care. The tapes, laptops, whatever. Do it. Look at whatever you got to look at. How could this happen? 2 hockey teams winning at home? Come on. Nuts. Honestly, what's crazier? Home teams going 3-0 yesterday, or on back-to-back nights in the NHL, a guy scores 4 goals and his team loses.
It's B, because in the NBA, and I don't know the exact number, and I'll try to figure it out during the break, but teams that have lost game 1 at home have had an unbelievable record at home in game 2.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if they've lost. So Boston winning last night was no real surprise after losing game 1. But come on, you get 4 goals out of one of your top players, then lose. Pavelski comes back from the concussion in the Dallas game, scores 4. They lose. Draisaitl scores 4 last night. Edmonton loses.
Neither guy got any help. They were the only ones that scored. So just a crazy night. The only question with Celtics Sixers was really, were the Sixers going to cover? Because the spread was 10 during our show yesterday. And right after the show, Embiid said, I'm going to play. Which, by the way, I want another investigation. And I'm being kind of serious here. When you have a league-wide injury report, this is the league's injury report. This isn't the Philadelphia Inquirer beat writer saying that Joel Embiid is out. This is the NBA's official injury report. During our show yesterday, Joel Embiid was listed as out. I'm not happy if I'm the league if all of a sudden at about 10:30 in the morning, Joel Embiid is playing. I got to admit, we have an official injury report for a reason. Because the line changed by 3 points the minute Embiid announced Mark he was playing. You know, that's kind of significant. You know, are you laying 10 or are you laying 7? That seems significant. I know it's not football, but if I'm the league, I'm very serious, Mark. I'm calling the Sixers and I'm going, what in the wide world of sports is going on? You can't have a guy go from out to starting 9 hours before tip, okay? So honestly, there's too many things going on here.
Well, I don't know why you just don't list Embiid the same way the Heat listed Butler.
Yeah, game time decision. Exactly. Doubtful. Just cover your butt. He's doubtful. Doesn't mean
Belichick. Put everybody on the injured list.
Exactly. Put all 15 guys and Doc Rivers on it. Right. But whatever you do, don't list the guy as out and then, oh, wait, I'm sorry, he's starting. Huh? Excuse me, what? The league MVP. Oh, okay. So, there you go.
We're going racing on the show today, aren't we?
Darn right we are.
We have horsepower, both kinds. We'll start in the 7 o'clock hour talking football, though, with Dalton Miller. Kurt Becker from the Horse Racing Radio Network to give us his Derby preview. Always a great chat with Kurt Becker. And Adam Stern, who does motorsports for the Sports Business Journal. We're previewing the F1 race in Miami. We're going racing on Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for listening. The starting 5, a mere 25 minutes away, right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah, hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Life Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlifetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
$8:38, JS. 8:38.
Just went out, Ambien. I'll be retweeting here shortly. That was where the whole breakdown in life came. Twitter froze up. Do they ever, RCB?
Pirates been outscored 12-2. Want to get away?
I don't know. You could ask the Phillies the same question.
What did they get outscored, like 36-10 or something?
Most runs LA's ever scored in a series since they moved to LA.
Wow. By the way, for the record, that was 65 years ago.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. We have a terrific show lined up for you. Our weekly talk with someone from Pro Football Network. It'll be Dalton Miller. He was big into the draft. We'll get some of his highs and lows, likes and dislikes from Dalton coming up next hour. And, well, we got the Derby. Got the Grand Prix moved up a week in Miami so it doesn't conflict with Mother's Day. So we got some stuff to talk about. NBA, NHL playoffs, the Rays. It doesn't matter. Best team in the National League comes to town. Please, whatever. Of course, it's best team by record. Nobody actually thinks they're the best team. They just had the best record when they showed up. They're probably not going to have the best record by the time they leave. But more on the Rays in a bit. Mark, I don't usually get personal this early in the show, but I'm asking for your advice as a friend. You know, a combination guy / friend.
All right.
If that's okay. And if anyone else has encountered this and it's not that uncommon, 21,000, the text line. You know, if you're watching us on Twitch, feel free to, you know, just make me feel better. So I'm a fairly happily married guy, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Scale of 1 to 10. You've known me for most of my married life. Okay.
On a bad day, it's an 8.
Yeah. I mean, no, I don't know about that, but you know,
I tried to tell you up, not being a tremendous slouch. I tried to tell you as being much better than that.
I mean, she may be an 8 on a bad day, but I don't know if, you know, my feelings towards her are, you know, but I'll put it this way. You know, you got the bottom half and you got the top half of a scale of 1 to 10. And I'm in the top half all the time. Isn't that fair to say?
Absolutely.
That my views of our marriage and, you know, my feelings towards my wife are always somewhere between 6 and 10.
For
right?
sure. Right.
Okay. So last night, there's a moment. We're watching TV. And, you know, like a couple of people in their 50s who have been married over 25 years, you know, we've got one of those couches with a recliner on each side and we're each sitting on our side. You know, very...
Right. Very romantic, very cozy.
Right. I mean, and when things get hot during the show, we'll reach over and hold each other's hand. I mean, hot. Right. So now we are not holding hands at this moment. And all of a sudden, my wife turns and looks at me and gives me a different look. And I immediately go, what the heck is she mad at me for? What in the world did I do or not do? And she's looking at me like that for like 5 seconds. And finally, I say, what in the hell's going on? And she goes, I'm giving you the look. And I go, that look? And she goes, yeah. And I go, well, we got to practice our looks because I don't know what the look looks like anymore. I mean, remember.
See, David,
It's a Wednesday.
I understand, but you cannot, under any if she says, I'm giving you the look, hand goes to the recliner, releases the recliner, and runs, jumping.
She didn't get up, by the way.
It's okay.
No. I said, oh, okay. And she goes, no, I'm just giving you the look. And I go,
What the hell?
right. I go, what are we warming up in the bullpen? I go, I literally said to her, I go, starting pitchers, they have a routine in between. I go, is today just a throw day? Is that all? Are you throwing 40 to 60 pitches today? Is that what you're doing?
You're the only human on earth that can turn possible canoodling into a baseball reference.
Well, no, apparently.
And not even a baseball reference like a home run. You went to long toss day.
Yes. Apparently, Wednesday's long toss day. We're out in the outfield. All right. You know how far apart guys are when they're long tossing. How's the one guy going to know what the real look on the other guy's face is 120 feet away? Please.
Well, continue tossing, because that's about all you're going to be doing for a while.
But just to review, yes, I did not gauge the look properly. This just in, it was a Wednesday.
I don't know what to tell you. The only thing I can tell you, David, because I know flowers don't work. I know jewelry doesn't work.
Right. I'm not allowed to do any of that.
No, you're allowed to do two things. I would run out. I don't know when she's getting home today. I don't know what her schedule is. But if she leaves the house at any point or is coming home at any point, I would be going to Starbucks and on the way picking up a Hershey's chocolate bar and just having them positioned right when she gets home.
So our daughter is getting her master's this weekend, and we actually have to travel, and we have an overnight stay. And I looked at her and I said, well, I can tell you what we're doing Saturday night. And she goes, what? Kind of like, that's kind of presumptuous. And I go, well, we're in a hotel. They have lots of mirrors. We're going to practice our looks. First into the mirrors and then at each other. Okay. By the time we come back, our daughter comes back with a master's degree and we are back on the same page.
I was mid-coffee when you said there was a lot of mirrors in the hotel room, and thank goodness you said you're going to practice giving looks, because I was a little concerned with what was coming out of your mouth next.
Right. No, we're going to practice the looks. The looks. Yep. 27 years of marriage next month. And I have to admit, I think she changed the look. All right. I mean, because us guys, I know. We got a lot of flaws. We do. We know the look. I'm telling you, she changed the look. And so now it's kind of like, what happened? Buck Showalter in the 6th inning changed the signs. Okay. I thought the take was on. She wanted to hit and run. Wait, what? No, you hit the bill of your cap and then you went down your left arm. That's a take.
And now you're stuck long tossing for quite a while.
Well, at least for another series, yes. Clearly, she's passing over my start in the rotation. I just hope she doesn't give it to somebody else.
I think you're safe on that one. I just think you're going to miss one start in the rotation.
So to, all the guys out there and to a few of the gals as well. All right. Has one of you in the relationship ever missed the look? And 2, is that it? Is there no coming back from that? Or is it just missing a sign and that's okay? Maybe I get benched. I'm like the guy who didn't hustle the first. I get pulled from the game, benched for the next one.
It is the baseball hour, so I can't criticize any baseball reference that he's making, but I want everybody to notice that he has taken his entire private home life and cross-referenced it with all baseball terms.
Well,
only on the baseball hour.
Right. First, second, third, and home.
Exactly. Paradise by the dashboard light, David.
Exactly.
That's all it is.
The scooter. So that's all. Have you ever missed the look? B, is this the beginning and the end of the relationship? C, can, things be, Saturday night, hotel, mirrors, we practice the look.
Sounds like you should be practicing something else, but you can start with the look.
Well, don't you have to perfect the look before it's a table setter, Mark. Once again, baseball. Okay. Before we get to Judge and Stanton, don't you need guys on base? Solo homers are nice, but Miller and Moulton.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
How long is did Ryan Callahan just start this ESPN thing yesterday? How long has he been doing stuff? He's good.
He was part of their coverage last year. He retired.
Right.
Because he basically didn't play like the last year plus of his career because of injury. And ESPN brought him on when they redid hockey last year.
I just happened to see him during SportsCenter. He's actually good. They were better. That studio was better last night.
With Buccigross and
he and Subban.
I think it was game 7. No, it couldn't have been game 7 because anyway, it was an ESPN game because it was Callahan, right? Callahan's ESPN. And Sean McDonough referenced Bobrovsky, who backstopped, not just the upset of the President's Trophy Bruins, but also backstopped the, upset of the Lightning back in 2019. And then they throw it at the studio. Okay. And he mentioned Ryan Callahan's Tampa Bay Lightning. And they come to the studio and Callahan's going, really? Was that necessary? Was I the captain of that team? Okay. He goes, I don't even know if I was the 15th best player on that team. Was that necessary? My Tampa Bay Lightning. He goes, it's been 4 years. Let's move on.
How do your Mets lose 2 to the Tigers?
Well, and, had a lead in the 8th in the first one. And then Scherzer, I guess, was horrible.
Right. Well, in the first one, he pulled his pitcher after 4 because Showalter realized he's not going to have a pitcher for the last game of the series.
And on Sunday, and the pitcher had no idea.
Right.
So when Showalter pulls him, he's like, listen, I got to pull you. And Luke Casey, who gave up like almost all his runs in the first, is just retired, 3 shutout innings in a row. He's like, what are you doing? Throwing 50 pitches. What are you doing? I need you Sunday. What? I will say the Mets got a bunch of doubleheaders already. They've had a bunch of rainouts.
Ambien, I'm not sure if you're joking or you just didn't listen to what we were talking about, because that's exactly what we just said when talking about Ryan Callahan. But
Are you jerking our bobber?
Or pulling our goalie.
But so, if you're having a little squabble with the missus, or she just seems as if she's not, 100% happy with you, you could look at her and say, listen, I know you're not crazy about me right now, but at least we don't have Moulton's problem with his wife. She goes, what are you talking about? Oh,
no, we were actually just talking about that, literally to the T. That's why I found it funny.
You could go, honey, he doesn't even know what the look looks like anymore. What? Yeah. Think about that.
I'm almost hesitant to post anything from that segment. Wife gives you the look and you make sports references.
Well, yeah, I have to admit, I was intimidated by the look. I thought she was mad at me. I said, you got to work on your look.
So I don't know if I told you I was showing, and I went and showed houses Tuesday. Did I tell you the house that we went into, David?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God. Couldn't get that smell out of my nose for a day.
I hate that.
Of course.
And it was bad.
I hate that.
$10 seconds.
They interested in any of the ones you showed them?
This will be a process.
Good luck with that.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
$22 before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Dalton Miller, Pro Football Network, 1 hour from now. Our buddy Kurt Becker. We told you we might get a couple of Derby guests. We want you winning money. By the way, speaking of which, there's a guy on Sportsline, CBSSports.com, who claims that he has picked either the Oaks or the Derby winner 10 of the last 14 years. And I guess has got the last 3 Belmonts and, had picked the Breeders, winner this past year. For those that are into that sort of thing, you obviously you're going to have to, pay a few bucks. But I'm just saying, there's a guy and you can't make those claims because it's not like, people can't look you up. And not only that, I don't think CBS would let him make these claims if they weren't true. So anyway.
Means he got the Oaks right last year, by the way. Not the Derby.
Probably, yes.
Since
probably.
One shot won the Derby a year ago.
But apparently he's got a horse 30 or more to 1 that he's got cashing based on reading the hints before they want you to click on a certain thing. But anyway, Kurt Becker, little over an hour. It's the 149th Derby. What do you say we call the boss and go, listen, you got a year. We want to be at the 150th Derby, okay?
You read my mind. I've been thinking about it since I bought my Woodford Reserve Derby 5th that has Secretariat on this year because it's the 50th anniversary of Secretariat winning the Derby, but it's the 149th Kentucky Derby.
What do you say we go next year? Because remember, when we first started this third act a year and a half ago, the boss said we're going to the Derby. Well, we haven't been yet. Okay, so I say we put the screws to him, Mark. Say, listen, either we go to the Derby or we're done.
Yeah, I like that.
Huh.
Give the boss an ultimatum. It's worked well for us in the past.
It sure has. That's why this is our third act. Time now for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
By the way, since we're talking racing and odds, Felipe's 4-1 to stay awake through the segment. Place your bets accordingly.
Oh, I'm not falling asleep this time.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
Joel Embiid played 27 minutes last night. Not bad for a guy who was out. He only took 9 shots, scored just 15 points. Sixers got blown out in the third quarter. Celtics ended up winning by 34, 121-87. Harden, remember that game 1, 45 points? And yeah, he was 2 of 14, 0 from 6 from 3. He had 12 points. Jaylen Brown led 5 Celtics in double figures with 25. Brogdon hit 6 threes. He had 23. Mark, I don't know much about basketball, but Boston hit 23s and the Sixers hit 6. That's a 42-point difference from beyond the arc. But then again, the Warriors hit 15 more threes than the Lakers and lost.
Right.
So, series tied at 1. Game 3 is tomorrow night in Philly. You got to figure the Sixers have to win one more game in Boston, right? I mean, that if they can win 2 out of 3 at home against the Celtics, that's a pretty darn good showing. They probably need one more win in Beantown if they're actually going to pull this off.
It seems fair. Seems logical, David. Because don't you think this series is going to be 2-2? I mean,
yes, I do. Boston, remember, the last couple of years, a great road team in the playoffs. You know, they faced elimination in Milwaukee and won. They faced elimination in Miami and won. They went to Golden State and won in the finals last year. So, game 3 tomorrow night. Game 2 is tonight. Lakers and Warriors, 9 o'clock ESPN. Golden State's a 6-point favorite. Does that surprise you? They were 4.5 for game 1.
very desperate team. It doesn't surprise me at all.
I just don't know if I like the matchup for them. I mean, Mark, they're small. It's tough to gain size in between game 1 and game 2.
Well, that's the point you make about the 3-point differential in game 1. If you told Golden State they were going to have 15 more threes, they'd go, okay, that's kind of how we're going to have to win.
And then
but I don't think the free throw differential will be nearly the same in game 2.
23-6. Chris Paul, by the way, listed as doubtful for whatever that's worth. Embiid was listed as out yesterday. Chris Paul doubtful for both games 3 and 4, which are Friday, Sunday in Phoenix with the Suns down 2-0 to the Nuggets. NHL. An amazing thing happened last night. There were 2 games, and the home team won them both. Unbelievable. Carolina was up 3-0 2 minutes in the second period. Jersey had to pull their young goalie. Devils had 1 shot in the first period.
Yeah, that was the pulling the goalie, not because the goalie was playing bad, was to let the team know you need to wake up.
Carolina won 5-1. Game 2 tomorrow night in Raleigh. Meanwhile, Leon Draisaitl scored 4 goals for Edmonton, 2 on the power play. Oilers' power play is clicking at about 60% in the playoffs. That's not an exaggeration. At nearly 60%. And yet, despite Draisaitl scoring 4 times, Las Vegas beat Edmonton 6-4. Barbashev with 2 goals for the Golden Knights, who after Draisaitl tied it in the third, scored 2 goals in 50 seconds. To take a 5-3 lead, throw in the empty netter, 6-4 the final. Tonight, by the way, game 2, Panthers-Leafs, 7 o'clock TNT. And game 2, Seattle-Dallas, 9:30 TNT. Remember, the road teams won game 1 in both those series. Remember what happened? Toronto didn't play a great game 1, to say the least, against Tampa. They blew out the Lightning in game 2. Do the Panthers suffer a bit of a letdown tonight? Game 3 is not till Sunday, remember. There's 2 full days off for the Panthers and Leafs after tonight. It was a showdown of the 2 best teams in baseball. I guess the Rays are clearly the best team in baseball, Mark. They've outscored the Pirates 12-2 in 2 wins. 8-1 last night was the final. I think we know right now who the starter would be in the All-Star game for the American League, right? Shane McClanahan?
6-0 with a pretty gaudy ERA as well.
Right. I think it's sub-2. Gave up 1 earned and 6 last night. McCutcheon homered off him in the 3rd, and that's it. Okay, guess the attendance. 14,618 is our barometer. Higher or lower?
I watched a few innings. Looked like there were some people in the outfield, but I'm still going under slightly.
Over 15-47 for the Rays on a Wednesday night. Be curious to see how many show up today. 1 o'clock getaway against the Pirates. Zach Greinke, we talked about his struggles in April. First start in May. He throws 5 shutout innings, gets the win. Royals 6-0 over Baltimore. Rays leading the division now 4.5. Yankees rally. Willie Calhoun is bailing them out. His 28-year-old DH had a homer, 2 RBIs, tied it in the 8th. Yankees won it 4-3 and 10 over the Guardians. Boston's got a 5-game win streak. They're nearly in 3rd place, half a game behind Toronto. They beat Toronto 8-3. The Braves hit 6 home runs. Marcell Ozuna hit 2 of them. They scored 7 in the 2nd, 5 in the 5th. Beat the Marlins 14-6. Okay. Over/under attendance.
Under. Oh, I'm sorry. You got to give me a number first, don't you? That's how that works.
Fine. 11,000.
Under.
It was under. 10-4-28. Marlins came in with a 4-game winning streak. They just swept the Cubs. The Braves are in town. What the heck? Come on, guys. The Tigers swept the Mets in a doubleheader. They rallied to win the first game 6-5, and then they bombed Scherzer, who's making his first start after the sticky hand suspension. He gave up 6 earned and 3 1/3. Eric Haas with 2 homers, 6 RBIs in the doubleheader for the Tigers. Arizona with 5 in the 7th beat Texas 12-7. Logan Webb took a shutout in the 8th for the Giants, who doubled up Houston 4-2. Bryce Harper in his 2nd game back went 3 for 3 and scored 2 runs. Problem is, Mac Muncy hit a walk-off slam for the Dodgers, who swept the Phillies 10-6. What was that you told me during the break about the Dodgers and the runs they scored against the Phillies?
I heard that it was the most runs they've scored in a 3-game series since they moved to L.A.
Well, they scored in double figures, I think, in all 3 games.
Right.
Something like 36, 38 runs, something like that. Brett Sullivan, homer, 4 RBIs for the Padres, 7-1 win over the Reds. The Cubs have lost 5 of 6, all against National League East teams. I mean, Marlins and Nats. That's not good. Washington beat them 2-1. Cubs are back to 500. White Sox have won 3 in a row, break them up. Ever since they scored 7 in the 9th against the Rays, they haven't lost. They beat Minnesota 6-4. The Angels scored 3 in the 9th. They hit 2 homers. The second one by Trout was the game winner. Angels 6, Cardinals 4. St. Louis is 10-21. 10-21. The Cardinals. Ohtani, by the way, 13 strikeouts, a career high. He is going to make so much money.
Finally had a friend, I told him he's going to make minimum $50 a year. And he just laughed at me. And the last time we talked, he goes, all right, I got to give you something.
Yeah, no kidding.
He's going to make $50 a year. I'm like, he's going to make at least $50 a year.
At least 50. In fact, I believe, and I don't know who his agent is, but they're going to start negotiations off quoting Sammy Hagar. I can't drive 55. That's where I think they're going to start their negotiations at, and they're going to see who's still at the table. And my guess is there'll still be about 4 teams sitting at the table.
There should be.
Colorado scored 4 in the 4th, beat Milwaukee 7-1. All right, Seattle scored 5 in the 10th, beat Oakland 7-2, but okay.
That's not what we care about when it comes to the Athletics, David. It's all about the attendance. They had what, 28-52 or something like that the day before.
So we'll use that as the over-under mark. A Wednesday night in Oakland.
David, that was their smallest crowd in, I think, 2 years. I'm going to go over that number.
Under 2685.
Holy.
2685. We thank you for coming and have a safe drive home.
That's an FGCU basketball game.
I wouldn't insult FGCU basketball that way. But yes, actually, now it is. Didn't used to be.
No, it's pretty close. And they're in the A-Sun for those of you listening around the state that don't know who we're talking about.
Jets sign former Packers wide receiver Randall Cobb. Spent 10 years with Rodgers in Green Bay. That's the fourth former Packer that the Jets have signed. Fifth, if you count offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett. They also added former Seattle defensive tackle Al Woods. Ravens signed former Raiders and Colts cornerback Yasin to a 1-year, $6 million deal. He's just 27 next month. The Bengals signed Trevor Siemian to be Joe Burrow's backup. But what's interesting is the guy who held the clipboard for the last 2 years, Brandon Allen, he signed with the Niners.
How many quarterbacks are they going to sign?
That's 4 quarterbacks who have started games in the NFL. Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, Sam Darnold, and now Brandon Allen. It screams one of two things. Purdy ain't going to be ready for a while. And that's why they got the other 3. And after the injuries they've had at that position for the last 3 years, they're playing it safe. Or they're going to trade Trey Lance. And don't think Minnesota's not picking up the phone and asking for him. Just saying. Kansas City, by the way, signed longtime Bucs tackle Donovan Smith, 1-year deal. Could be worth up to $9 million. You know, he's only 29.
You know he can't play.
Well, I'll tell you what.
He was a turnstile. Unless there was injuries that we don't even – he was a turnstile last year.
Well, there were injuries because he missed a few games. But also, my guess is he looks a little better with Mahomes, a little more mobile than Brady. It's my guess. Just saying. Golf, they're at the Wells Fargo in Charlotte. It's an elevated event, and yet both John Rahm and Scotty Scheffler aren't playing. You're allowed to skip one of these elevated events. This is their one.
Right. Rory skipped 2, cost him $3 million.
Right. And he basically said, whatever. The PGA is in 2 weeks. LPGA has a team event. U.S., China, Sweden, England, South Korea, Australia, Japan, and Taiwan. 4 players from each team. It's interesting. They're doing this in the middle of the year. PGA Tour used to do this stuff. It'd be in like November and December. And it's 7 minutes before the hour. That was
the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
Gut feeling. Niners just playing it safe because they were in the NFC Championship game with no quarterback, so you can't blame them? Or do you think they're up to something?
I think Purdy's not nearly where they expected him to be at this point, and they're expecting him not to be there at least for over half the season. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
It's funny. Smits only played left tackle, but they signed the Jaguars tackle to $20 million a year. So the thought was, well, he's obviously going to play left tackle. So do you think they're putting Donovan Smith at right tackle?
Too much for a swing tackle, right?
Oh, I think so, yeah. Which is also interesting that the Chiefs won the Super Bowl and are getting rid of both their tackles. That's after 2 years earlier they lost the Super Bowl and got rid of both their tackles. Paul Money. Jimmy G was a free agent. They couldn't tag him. And why would they want to? And also, Jimmy G didn't want to stay. He knew they were moving on. And so now he goes to the Raiders and he's got nobody to compete with.
My favorite part about U8 or U9 U8 softball is when someone actually catches a fly ball, David. It's an automatic double play because nobody knows to stay on base.
I just went into the kitchen during the break, and wife was putting a few things away, and she turned around, and I looked right at her, and I said, "Give me the look." She goes, "I can't give you a look now." I go, "Come on, to practice the look." I said, "We got to get on the same page here." She's like, "You didn't bring that up on the air, did you?" I go, "No, I just did a whole segment." Yeah. 7 of their next, what is it? 7 of their next 11, I think, against the Yankees.
Yep.
What, 3 here, 4 there? Tell you what, I know the Yankees squeaked 2 out here, but they're getting them at the right time.
10 seconds.
Have you seen Wanderers play yet?
The throw at first.
No.
You need to look at it.
It's awesome. Love that kid.
He kind of he gets the ball to the glove.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour number 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Thursday. Hope your week's going well. We got over the hump together. Now we can almost see the finish line from here. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Dalton Miller to talk all things NFL, put the draft to bed. He'll join us in about 35 minutes' time. Kurt Becker, 1 hour from now, we begin our Derby talk. And we're not going to pretend like we know what we're talking about. We know just enough to be dangerous. That's why we bring in the experts. Kurt Becker has been our guy for years. Horse Racing Network. He'll join us 1 hour from now. And that's not the only racing we got, baby. Got the Miami Grand Prix. Adam Stern covers racing, and he will join us talking about year 2 of the Grand Prix.
21,000 is the text line, 21000. If you never texted the show before, FSN Radio is the keyword to get you behind the door. Did get a couple of texts on our earlier segment about you getting the look.
From the wife, by the way. I got the look from the wife, and I missed the sign.
One listener says, I missed a whole season one time.
You sure you got the look for a season?
And this one just says, remember, marriage isn't just a word, it's a sentence. Ouch.
Wow. So, first sign I've missed. We've known one another 30 years. First sign I've missed. So, I don't want to play the blame game. That'll only make it worse. I mean, this is like, missing on a draft pick. Yeah, let's not dwell on it. Let's just move on. If I have to give up a future third, okay, to recoup, that's fine. Whatever. Like at my age, I'm worried about future draft picks. Seriously? I'm like the Bills. I just want to win one Super Bowl at this. That's it. Come on. So I was doing some homework last night. And because I didn't pay as close attention to the draft as I normally do. And I just thought, I should probably read over this stuff. We're going to have to talk about the league during the spring and summer. You should really know what you're talking about, or at least be able to fake it. And man, the Packers drafted a lot of offensive skill people.
Did they ever?
I mean, are there middle fingers that come with these draft choices? Because tell me there wasn't a little, okay, at some point, Gutekunst didn't turn to somebody and go, you know what, just for and giggles, how about we take another one? Really? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Just send a message. Yep. How many weapons does Jordan Love have now? Like 9 wide receivers and 4 tight ends? It's ridiculous. Hope half these guys can play. They might not be bad. Not in the first round, though. No. Apparently, there really is a local ordinance. You can't take one in the first round. But, man, after that, he was just like, just pick a skill guy. I don't even care at this point. You, Tommy, you run up, make the pick. Just pick a skill guy.
what did they end up with? A running back, 2 receivers, 2 tight ends, I think, by the time it was all said, or 3 receivers, 2 tight ends by the time it was all said and done.
Coincidence, yes or no? I'm going no. Now, granted, they lost Lazard and they lost, Cobb, and I think they let Tanyan go. It's not like they didn't have some guys they had to replace, but I don't know. I'm just guessing one of those 6, Mark, was the middle finger up in the air. It's kind of like, you know what? Take him. No, screw Rodgers. Take him. Yeah. I want to take so many skilled players that honks Bakhtiari off. Honestly, take another one.
It was an interesting draft for the Packers because Bakhtiari is someone that needs to be replaced. I mean, they need a tackle. Didn't take one.
I know. I thought they were going to at 13. I thought they were going to take the guy that the Steelers traded up 14, Miller there from Georgia. I thought they were going to take him for just that reason.
But you're right. It was a fascinating draft for the Packers. Just when you look at it from the 30,000 view.
Right. Like I was just talking about missing the sign from my wife. Do you think Rodgers got the sign from the Packers on his way out the door there? No, I mean, he's sitting courtside at a Knicks playoff game. I don't know if he cares, but I'm saying.
Convinced he doesn't care.
Okay.
But he cares enough that it could put this is where Rodgers has that blankety blank in him. That could just put enough juice in him to even, I mean, does he get motivated more by the Packers doing that? I don't know if that's possible because I think he's highly motivated.
I will say, I haven't seen him smile this much since he was dating Olivia Munn, honestly. I mean, he almost looks happy. I mean, I hesitate to say that. It is Aaron Rodgers after all. But, I mean, he's either performing or he's actually happy to be out of Green Bay. I mean, he looks genuinely happy. You do know he's in Florham Park, New Jersey. I've been there. It's not bad. Don't get me wrong. It's a nice suburban neighborhood. Got a nice golf course.
Right, but you can get to the city reasonably quickly.
20 minutes, actually, yes.
And the only city you can get to
2 hours to Milwaukee, right.
And we're calling that a city.
Right. 20 minutes from De Pere, correct. You should visit De Pere in the spring. It's lovely.
You know, and the other thing that he has now that he's never had before is an owner. No. Think about it. And this owner is going to coddle him and tell him how great he is, how much he loves him being there. Think about that. He's had GMs telling agents in fights. I mean, GMs have to give the unpleasant truths of why they're doing this or that. He's got an owner that can at least lie to him when the GM does whatever he wants. He's never had that.
There is so much butt smooching going on right now.
Yeah.
None of us have ever had this in our lives. Honestly, as you just pointed out, you got the owner or the GM. I mean, heck, this is his career. I mean, no big deal or anything. It's just his career. Rodgers needs to play well. You can't control winning and losing, but he just needs to play well. I mean, remember, Favre gets hurt with 5 weeks to go in the one season he played for the Jets. Before he got hurt, they're 8-3. They're the 1 seed in the AFC. He gets hurt, they lose 4 out of 5. Guess what happens? Coach is fired. GM barely held on to his job, Tannenbaum. Barely held on to his job. Now, he put a good team together. They brought in Rex Ryan. They went to back-to-back AFC championship games. But, I mean, that's how much is riding on a move like this. The last time they made a move like this, they damn near cleaned house when it didn't end well. But, man, are they – I mean, Mark, the story – because I've turned you on to the New York Post. I mean, what are the stories in today's Post? How all the young players on the Jets are just running around on the practice field in awe. And they spelled Aaron with awe in it. I mean, it's obscene right now, the butt kissing that's going on.
And the Jets winning yet another offseason. They have won more Super Bowls in April than any other team in the history of the league. They have one on the mantle. They have 14 that they think they've won in April.
And, you could be a pretty darn good team in the AFC this year and not make the playoffs.
It's going to happen.
I really think 3 teams are making the playoffs in the North because of the schedule thing that we got into. I might be overanalyzing this, but, we got into the schedules a little bit yesterday. It is so much harder if you don't win the AFC East to get a wild card spot than it is if you don't win the AFC North. Man, oh man, is your schedule so much harder in the AFC East. I mean, I think it's minimum 1, probably a 2-game schedule difference. That's a lot. That's a lot. How does that not come back to haunt either the Jets or the Dolphins if you don't think either one of them's knocking the Bills off the top spot? So I actually think the division's in play.
Well, I do too, for a lot of reasons. I mean, we can't predict health, but every year quarterbacks go down. Well, someone's going to get banged up and miss a few games, and whether it's 2, 3, 4 games, that's part of it. But you just look at you've got 3 quarterbacks in the AFC East that are all MVP candidates. Tua was before he got hurt. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen are. You've got Burrow and Deshaun Watson and Lamar in the North. And I know you're high on Pittsburgh. They may have the 4th best quarterback in the division.
Oh, they definitely have the 4th best quarterback in the division. I'm just saying they won 9 games last year. Their schedule's easier this year, and they've upgraded just about everywhere.
Someone will win the South. It should be Jacksonville.
And if you're the Chargers, I mean, good luck, honestly, trying to make the playoffs. I mean, Mark, this could be a deal in which, like, if 3 come from the North, there's 1 wild card for either the East or the West. It's going to be brutal in the AFC. Absolutely brutal.
And get used to the AFC because that's where your prime games are going to be all year long. If it's not the Cowboys in prime, it's going to be an AFC matchup, one against another.
Here's a gut feeling, and I know we got to head to break here, but, we haven't had a repeat winner in the NFC East in nearly 20 years. You got to go back to the Eagles when they won I think it was 4 division titles in a row, 01 through 04. Nobody's repeated since the 03-04 Eagles. You picking somebody else to win the NFC East this year?
I'm not.
Well, we should. I'm just saying that nobody's done it in damn near 20 years. That's a trend, Mark. That's what I like to call a trend.
It's a huge trend, but I
know.
It's got to be broken at some time too. And the Eagles, despite what they lost on defense, they're going to fix the holes, and I'll take the Eagles.
Are we sure the Georgia Bulldogs can win the NFC East this year? That's a big step up.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Oh, my goodness. State fires, then rehires company responsible for emergency alert that woke up Florida. So they fired him, then they rehired him.
Oh.
Who?
The company that was responsible for the emergency test.
They rehired that guy?
Was just rehired by the state of Florida.
Why?
I'm reading the article.
That's not right. Oh, boy.
Why the hell does Dallas have like this?
Basically, I don't think they could fire him based to the contract, what it looks like.
Oh, okay. Twofold, Felipe. First off, odds are often determined by the amount of money bet. So they may not have opened up that way, but people bet the Cowboys. So that would improve their odds. But secondly, Felipe, in many ways, you're better off betting on an NFC team.
That's very true.
Because right now, there's only, 3 teams that we think are even capable of getting to the Super Bowl out of the NFC? Philly, San Francisco.
And who's the third one?
And then if you believe in the Cowboys.
Unless the Lions have a magical year.
Okay. That takes a lot of guts.
That's a good point.
To make a Lions Super Bowl bet.
Yeah, I mean, get him at plus 2,500 right now at the Caesar Sportsbook.
So, first thing you got to do to win the Super Bowl is you got to get there. It's a hell of a lot easier on one side.
Holy blank. Company that owns 60 McDonald's in Kentucky, Indiana, Maryland, and Iowa has like kids working there, and 2 10-year-olds were found working at the Louisville McDonald's restaurant sometimes until 2 a.m.
One of them was working the fryer, which is literally against the law. You have to be 16.
Oh my God.
Now, I will say I was really good in math. I actually at a farmer's market, friend of a family, they actually put me to work working the register, and I was like 10, 11 years old because I could do the math. But they didn't put me in the field or anything.
No, I mean, when you were caddying at, like 13, 14, I had a job at our pro shop. Like we were a member at a small club, and they let members' kids work the pro shop.
Right.
So I was in the bag room and working the register at by
14.
14.
Because that was the rule at the country club. They wouldn't let me. They said it's state law. You can start caddying at 14. So I had to wait till the summer of 80.
That sounds right.
Because my mother's longtime boyfriend was a caddy, so I wanted to, I had wanted the caddy a couple of years earlier. They're like, no, not old enough. I will say, remember those old bags? They were heavy. You're like 120 pounds dripping wet. That bag felt as heavy as you, some of them. Ambient, tell me how Russell Wilson's going to look. I'll tell you how I think the Broncos are going to look. I mean, if you think about it, you got Denver with Russell Wilson and Sean Payton. You got the Browns with Deshaun Watson. I mean, there are teams who were below 500 last year that are actually very intriguing in the AFC. That's why I think the Patriots are in so much trouble. I mean, whose roster would you rather have? Denver, Cleveland, or New England's?
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Dalton Miller, Pro Football Network. He'll join us coming up in a little more than 15 minutes' time. We'll talk the Derby at the top of the hour, and we'll talk the Miami Grand Prix next hour as well. It's Sunday. It moved up a week from last year. You and I are two people who advocate a lot for, hey, did so-and-so really have to be fired? I mean, are you sure you couldn't have suspended that person? How come we don't use that middle step? And it does, it's sports, non-sports, just life. It's like, hold on a second. Really? I mean, firing's a big deal. It just blows someone's life up. You sure we got to do that? But there was somebody who got fired recently, and apparently now they're trying to reinstate him. And I got to admit, I think that person should be fired.
So we all had the alert in the state of Florida.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, 4:45 a.m.
They got fired by the state of Florida.
Right.
The Florida Division of Emergency Management fired the company called Everbridge, they're responsible for the state's emergency alert system.
Yeah, because they're idiots.
They rehired Everbridge.
What?
Everbridge basically was under contract. And this isn't an out for the contract.
Really? Really? I want to read the fine print. If it doesn't violate the morals clause of the contract, it violates the stupidity clause of it. Hey, DeSantis, let me tell you, you want to run for president? That's fine. You got one more thing to do. Fix this. Do whatever you want, okay? If you can't get these people fired, how the hell can you run a country? Come on, Ron.
Could you imagine if that was a nationwide event? Oh my goodness.
So seriously?
According to the Florida Department of Emergency Management, it is to make sure that we are all informed if we do have a disaster while they continue to search for a new company to handle the alerts.
So they're trying to say we can't fire them now?
Correct.
But we're
Contract
trying
to expire in June of 2024. They've given termination notice, but basically they're fearful of getting a new company, and they're fearful of trying to hire a new company because hurricane season starts in 26 days.
All right. Okay. All right. Stop making a dadgum good point, okay?
Well, you asked for the reasons behind it, and I know everybody's upset. Get over it.
Now, hold on a second. I know we should suck it up. It was a minor inconvenience. But the fact that somebody scheduled it, it wasn't a mistake. It was on the schedule. In fact, Every other month it was on the schedule for. This was supposed to happen again in June, and then August, and then October, and then December. It was on the schedule. We're going to do this at 4:45 a.m. I'm sorry. If you're that stupid, you got to go.
But you're going to take down the whole company because of one guy?
No, I'm not trying to put the company out of business. I'm just saying you can't do the alarms in Florida. There's 49 other states you can wake up at 4:45 in the morning. No, Felipe, think about it. The one person was not responsible for this. This is not like this show, okay, in which you decided to do something at 4:45 a.m. and Miller and Moulton were completely unaware of it. Really? No. At some point, we'd go, wait a minute, Mark, did you see what Felipe's trying to do? He's trying to do this at 4:45 a.m. Is he out of his mind? You go, we got to put a stop to that. Damn right. Because let me tell you, if he does that at 4:45 a.m., he's fired. And I know it. We don't have, just like the state of Florida, they don't have anybody to replace these people with. We don't have anybody in the bullpen to replace Felipe, goodness knows. I mean, who's stupid enough to get up at this hour for this money? I mean, besides Felipe. Okay, so we don't want to fire him.
We've talked about it.
Right, but at the end of the day, it's not like there's a big line out the door. Put up with us at this hour for this money? Seriously?
Can we start calling him Sleepy instead of Felipe?
I don't know. He hasn't embraced it.
It doesn't matter.
Maybe Snoozy. Okay, yeah, we'll work on something. But I don't know. This is the one time.
You want someone fired.
Yeah, you know what?
Don't you think the individual that worked for that company that set these up is gone?
Then you know what? I'm willing to settle for that. If you listen, I'll keep the company, but come on, who's the sacrificial lamb? Tony down the hall? Tony's got to go.
Tony's probably gone.
Okay.
Because think about it. This company knows they're getting terminated. This is probably because this company, after they screwed up the first time, said we do this in all kinds of states. We do it all over the country. I would imagine that this is, and we could look it up, but probably one of the leaders in this industry. There are probably not a lot of companies that do this for a living. When you take away an entire state, particularly one the size of Florida, I would think it's a big chunk out of your budget. People got fired.
Okay, if you can give me the list of the people who are no longer invited to the Christmas party, all right? And as long as Tony's on it, I'm okay. We can keep the company.
Miller and Moulton. 21,000's the text line. Time now for our Clutch Vodka play of the day. Sleepy Alvarez, what do you got for us?
You know, my whole life as a baseball fan, I've always known that the St. Louis Cardinals are dominant, but times aren't so great right now. They're 10-21. They were up 4-3 heading into the top of the ninth inning last night. They gave up a Jake Lamb solo home run, and then they gave up a Mike Trout solo home run.
Now Trout hits one deep to left. This one might go back near the wall. O'Neal, and it's gone. Mike Trout has given the Angels the lead. 2 home runs in the top of the ninth, and the Angels have stormed back to take a 5-4 lead in St. Louis.
Angels tacked on another run. Cardinals couldn't do anything. Did you hear the boos in that crowd? I mean,
they take their baseball very seriously.
But Trout with the clutch home run, take the lead. And there you have it. The Angels are actually over 500. Wow, look at that. They're winning baseball games.
They better, because otherwise Trout's going to want to leave with Ohtani. It's kind of an important season.
Everything on the line for this team this year. He wants to sell that team eventually. Everything's on the line for the team this year.
Exactly. I don't want to say the first few months of this season are important or anything. It's like that scene in All the President's Men. You know, we got the Constitution, the First Amendment, and the future of the country riding on this. Not that it's important or anything. Felipe, could you humor me on the Clutch Vodka play of the day? Could you play that call once again? Because I want to point something out afterwards.
Now Trout hits one deep to left. This one might go back near the wall. O'Neal, and it's gone. Mike Trout has given the Angels the lead. 2 home runs in the top of the ninth, And the Angels have stormed back to take a 5-4 lead in St. Louis.
I'm pretty sure, and if I'm wrong, I apologize, but I think the Angels are one of two Major League Baseball teams who do not send their announcers on the road. The Blue Jays are the others. So that came from a guy sitting in a studio in Southern California, broadcasting off a monitor.
And it's our Clutch Vodka play of the day, Clutch with a K. Check them out, clutchspirits.com. The Maple Leafs weren't sending their announcers on the road either and had a really bad call. And the Leafs had to change course with their radio announcers. They're going to be in Florida for the series. They took so much flack for calls being late, calls being missed in the Tampa series that they're now sending their radio broadcasters on the road. Thank goodness.
And obviously, you and I, a couple of announcers, we hate the whole not sending announcers on the road. But if I didn't point that out to you, would anybody have thought that that broadcaster was not in St. Louis?
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN play of the day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the play of the day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka play of the day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
That's Clutch with a K.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I would not have noticed.
What?
David asked at the end, would anyone have noticed?
There's a lot of things you're not noticing right now.
Huh? What else? A comment?
No.
Oh, God.
No, Johnny Mac, that's not his new name. Nope, we've got it right there on the screen for you.
Oh, Felipe. That's terrible.
No, that's actually pretty good. Come on.
Fantastic.
Come on.
That's two different listeners that typed that in.
Come on. That's funny.
Did someone text that?
Yes.
Felipe. Wow.
I do like it's always sleepy in Philly, too. That's good, Adam. I thought
Well
that
done.
was pretty solid.
Well played.
Man, I am never staying up for a late game ever again.
Of course you are. All right.
That was a lie.
You're going to do it tonight. You'll go to bed right around midnight tonight. You'll get about 4.5 hours. You'll tough it out.
Oh, my God.
You have to learn the nap, man.
I would
learn
love
the nap.
I would love to get sponsored by an energy drink. That would be amazing.
Wouldn't we all?
Just
Or, it's true, actually. I'm going to send something to Marty and say, listen, all right, between an energy drink or something having to do with improve your sleep,
Right.
we could give them a lot of love.
Something involving mornings and staying awake.
What would you do if it's a Heat Lakers final?
Oh, man.
Oh, come on. You drew to the Heat.
Oh, wait. Oh, you're saying who I'd root for? Oh, I'd definitely root for the Heat. I'm just saying I'd be heaven. Euphoria.
If AD stays healthy, you might get it.
Because I think the Sixers have a chance to win this series, actually. I know it took a horrible loss last night, but I think they could win. Philly does not want to see Miami. They do not want to see Miami.
Here's the funny thing, by the way. If it's Heat Lakers, the Heat have home court. They
Yes,
won
they
one
do.
more game than the Lakers, 44-43.
And seeding doesn't matter.
Nope, goes by wins.
It goes by wins. Yeah.
So even though one was technically the 8 and the other the 7.
Wow.
Mark, somebody on an NBA site asked the question, worst team to win the championship. And the answer that most people coalesced around was the 78 Bullets.
Really?
Who I think won like 40-something games. But they won that game 7 on the road.
People forget Adebayo and Dragic went down in game 1 of that Heat Lakers series. Dalton's on hold.
He's already looking at next year's draft stuff.
I know.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Talk a little Kentucky Derby next hour. We'll also talk a little Miami Grand Prix. But first, it's time for our weekly chat with a gentleman from Pro Football Network, Dalton Miller, kind enough to step in once again on this Thursday. You can follow Dalton on Twitter at Dalton B. Miller. Dalton, the letter B, Miller. Dalton, it's David and Mark. Hope you are well. How are you?
I am fantastic, and I hope you gentlemen are doing well as well. Miami Grand Prix, Kentucky Derby, sounds like a good week coming up.
I've got to ask you, I didn't see this until now, and it's not a football question at all, but I saw the hashtag on your Twitter profile, Never Red Bull. Does that mean you're anti-energy drink?
Yes, that means I am anti-energy drink. I'm anti-Christian Horner, and listen, I love him for Drive to Survive. He is he's an antagonist. He's an instigator. He's great for TV, but he annoys the absolute crap out of me. And so I have to root against them. They're also the best car, and I just want to see good competition. They're too good, honestly. Their DRS is unbelievable. They're just way too much of an advantage, and I want the rest of the paddock to catch up.
Well, I have to admit, if you follow Dalton on Twitter, then it's a close call between Red Bull Racing and watching the Oregon offense. I mean, you tweeted out the other day that every time I watch Oregon's offense, I feel like kicking a penguin.
It is true. I'm already on the 2024 crop of quarterbacks. I was watching Bo Nix, who I feel like has been in college for about 10 years now. And I was watching the Oregon offense, and I remember watching the Oregon offense when Justin Herbert was there and absolutely hating everything about it. New regime comes in, the offense still stinks from an NFL evaluation side of things. So still makes me angry to watch, and I'm glad that it's over for right now. I don't have to watch any more Oregon offense for a while.
So take that to the whole draft. How hard do you think that is for NFL scouts with so many teams running offenses that are not anything close to what an NFL is? How hard is that on the scouting departments?
I think it's incredibly hard because you just don't see, especially in a place like Tennessee that we just saw this past year with Hendon Hooker, obviously an older prospect coming off an ACL, and that's a whole other thing to have to, adjust for. But that offense doesn't give you much of anything from an NFL concept perspective. So you need to really use your imagination with this kid and see, like, hey, when he gets those, very few times where the offense isn't spread out to the complete opposite side of the field and giving him one clean read in space, what is he going to look like? And you have to try to find these bits and pieces. And it is incredibly difficult with some of these offenses in college. And so I think that's, part of the reason why, the NFL is just as much about risk mitigation than anything else. And I think by mitigating the risk, it's guys like that are going to fall in the draft.
Well, and do you believe that that's why the two wide receivers, like we know Hooker would have gone earlier if he hadn't gotten hurt, but both wide receivers who physically are impressive and their numbers are impressive, and yet both went mid-third round.
Yeah, I don't know if it's why Tillman fell. Tillman's value was always kind of like right around there. He was a really good player, but the upside of him, we didn't know much about. We didn't think that he had that number one potential, and you can kind of get those guys on day two. There was talk of first round for quite a long time with him. But you're right, he's just an underdeveloped vertical threat. And for me personally, I always kind of had him in that round 2, round 3 range because I think he has a long way to go to become a 3-level NFL receiver. I think he still provides value right away to the New York Giants because he will be able to stretch the field. And the best thing about that is he's able to take the top off the defense, make the safeties actually cover deep, and opens up that middle of the field, that intermediate area that the Giants were really lacking last year.
When can you determine who won a draft, if you know what I mean? We were going through the draft from 2020 and how many of the players didn't get their fifth-year options returned. That seems like a good time to evaluate. When do you really evaluate a draft?
Yeah, I like after 2 years, I think you have a pretty good picture of things. But, there's some positions, tight end, defensive tackle, cornerback. Some of these guys don't really turn things around until year 3. So I think after that third year when, teams have to decide on fifth-year options, I think that's the best time to really look back at a draft class and think, was this good or not?
What do you think of all the tight ends? We're talking with Dalton Miller, Pro Football Network. Follow him on Twitter at Dalton B. Miller, Dalton the letter B. Miller. What do you think of all the tight ends? I mean, between drafted and undrafted, I believe 20 tight ends got signed. That could be a lot of, 12 lineups, if you will. A lot of 2 tight ends, 1 running back. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think NFL teams are trying to find mismatches. And I think that, especially when you see some of the guys drafted later, your Zach Kuntzes, guys like that, who are really, really good athletes, you just have to hope that these athletes can round into, full-out guys at some point. I like that the NFL didn't overdraft these guys because in round 1, you just don't see tight ends come out and be fantastic early. It takes time for these guys to develop because they have to do so much. Wide receivers get to be wide receivers all the time. Offensive linemen get to be offensive linemen all the time. Tight ends have to do both. And to become an expert at something, it takes a ton of time and effort at that thing. And they have to split their time. With a guy like Dalton Kincaid, I think that he can not develop a little bit earlier, but produce a little bit earlier, because I think they're going to throw him in the slot most of the time, or, as a sniffer, H-back type thing, and really let him be a mismatch on the outside. And I think that in 12 personnel with him, with having Dalton Knox there already, I think that really helped out that offense, because it's going to put defenses in base more often, or big nickel to try to defend that. I think it's going to be really difficult to defend him. And with Josh Allen's legs, it makes it more difficult, because you're taking a better athlete off of the field to put another linebacker on the field. I think that it was actually a great pick for the Bills, even though I don't really love tight end in round one.
How stunned were you by the trade Houston made with Arizona?
We were talking about it, before. We didn't even know if they were going to draft a quarterback, and I think that they made the right decision to draft one. Man, they gave up a lot to go get Will Anderson. And Will Anderson, we were talking about it. I know we thought that it might be Tyree Wilson. Obviously, the injury concern with him might have dropped him down a little bit. The better player ended up being drafted, but that is a ton to give up for a defensive end at the end of the day, especially when, after you made the trade, Tennessee was no longer looking to move up. So I think they played themselves a little bit with moving up to get Will Anderson. But if you really wanted that guy, and you believe Will Anderson is going to consistently be a 10-plus sack guy from the get-go and be an elite run defender, which I think he's going to be, you might want to give up a little bit more than you should to make sure that you get that one blue chip guy in a draft that just really wasn't that strong.
What'd you make of the Lions? You've got they drafted guys maybe a little earlier than they needed to, but Dalton, if I just put the list of the guys they drafted in front of you, isn't that a good draft?
It is. And I think that's the way that you kind of have to look at it when you look at the Detroit Lions. Was their process flawed? Yes, absolutely. I think that you saw Brad Holmes fell in love with Jahmyr Gibbs, and that was it. And that's not the way that you should do things. He saw him in person, fell in love with the guy, and he was going to draft him no matter what. That's not really the way that you should do things, especially for a running back. But when you look at that, Gibbs, Campbell, Laporta, Brian Branch, we talked about being a top 15 guy for most of the year. So you're able to get him at the end of round two, or kind of in the middle of round two. When you flip those guys around, and then we talked about Hendon Hooker, who we thought might be a first rounder. So you're right. When you flip the names around, the draft doesn't look bad. But I think the way that they went about drafting each guy at each spot was flawed. I think that they got better. And I think that that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to get guys on the field that they knew right away could be difference makers. And I think that they did that. Did the value fit with what we like teams to draft in round one? No. But they got better at the positions that they needed to get better at.
What do you think about the Bucs draft? I love the D tackle they took from Pitt in the first round. People have questions on the North Dakota State guy. I don't. What do you think?
I didn't think that the Buccaneers draft was too bad. I'm really, really interested to see how Campy ends up at the NFL level. I think pairing him with Vita Vea is fantastic. I think pairing those guys with Greg Gaines, who I think is a fantastic run defender, I think that plays well off of them. And then you still have Logan Hall, who you hope to develop as well. So I think that they really are looking to get a guy on the interior who can just go. And I think that that's something that when you look at Kalijah Campbell, he can obviously just go. Tony Moss, North Dakota State, he's an offensive lineman from a small school without some teeth. He's going to be a good Tampa Bay Buccaneer. That's just the way that they do things. Tampa Bay has consistently drafted small school offensive linemen, particularly on the interior, and they have all been good, every single one of them. So if they make a selection from a small school on the interior, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, whether I like the prospect or not. It's a lot like Julius Brenton in Indianapolis playing cornerback. Did I love his tape? No, but I've seen them develop cornerbacks in Indianapolis left and right. They do the same thing with interior offensive linemen in Tampa Bay, so I think it's a fine pick. Canfield will be really interesting to see how much he's able to bring on a down-to-down basis, because I do think his lack of length is going to be an issue against the run. But this is a passing league, and if you can get him to shoot gaps and beat those interior offensive linemen, that's all you really need out of them.
It's like when the Steelers draft a wide receiver. I don't think anybody does a better job developing receivers than the Steelers. Dalton Miller, Pro Football Network. Was there a team that when it was done, you thought to yourself, yeah, I have no idea what they were thinking in this draft? Is this a team draft you did not like?
Jacksonville. And it's not that I didn't like their draft, because I honestly think there weren't many teams that just flat out struck out in the draft. I just thought with so much momentum and everything that they did to improve the team last year, I felt like they could have done a lot better with what they had. Taking Brenton Strange in round 2, I thought was a little bit awkward. I thought the Tank Bigsby pick was all right. And then I just didn't love anything that they really did on day 3. I felt like there were more impact players at some of the positions that they took. And it just was a little bit underwhelming. It felt very much to me like a C's get degrees type of draft. And for a team that is looking to compete with the Chiefs and the Bengals and the Bills, I just felt like they could have done a better job trying to elevate the rest of their team.
I'm curious. I know you're a big Cowboys guy. What do you think about their draft?
A little bit better than the Jags, but not a ton better. Shoemaker, the tight end from Michigan, great athlete. I just got done watching a bunch of J.J. McCarthy tape, the quarterback that'll probably come out next year. Shoemaker's a great athlete. If he can produce right away, that's great. But he's a 25-year-old tight end with some injury concerns, so it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. I love Monty Smith. He was one of my pet cats, so the Cowboys taking him was fine with me, except for Nolan Smith was still on the board. And not only did Nolan Smith not only was he a better player and a better prospect, he also ended up at Philadelphia, which is salt in the wound to any Cowboys fan. So Cowboys draft was just okay. There's a lot of potential with it, but I was a little bit underwhelmed.
And Dalton, finally, when you are looking at the quarterbacks in next year's class right now, do they look the same, better, or worse than this year's crop looked a year ago?
I think at the top it's better. Drake May has a ton of potential. There are some things that I don't like about his game right now that might be able to be fixed with a new offensive coordinator in a little bit different environment. Caleb Williams is unbelievable. He would have been the number 1 pick this year. I'm very confident in that. He is an unbelievable player. May has the potential to be better than him. But right now, Williams is the more complete player. And then actually, J.J. McCarthy is not getting a ton of talk, but he's the one that really impressed me the most from a guy who has all of the physical tools to be a high-end passer at the next level. There's things that he has to get better with, but in that Michigan offense, he was really given an opportunity to show his arm off, and he showed his arm off more than any of the guys last season. So it's really going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. I think there's probably only 2 or 3 first-round guys next year, a lot like this year. But I do think at the top it's better.
Dalton Miller, Pro Football Network, profootballnetwork.com. Follow Dalton on Twitter, Dalton B, the letter B, Dalton B. Miller. Dalton, as always, thanks for your time. Enjoy the Grand Prix on Sunday.
Absolutely. You guys as well.
Dalton Miller, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton. Talk a little Derby and Grand Prix next hour.
He was ready to do it there, but we had to get to football with him.
Right.
He opened with Grand Prix and Derby. We're like, we like that, but we got to get you the football angle. Underwhelmed by the Jags draft.
They had a ton of choices, and I'm surprised they didn't trade some of them away to kind of move up and get more value. I'm surprised they didn't adopt the Giants approach to the draft. The Giants traded away 3 draft picks to move up twice. Thought the Jags would also.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on Fifth Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I know. Right now, through 7 playoff games, it's the greatest power play in the history of the sport.
I'm calling Kurt now.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the third and final hour of Miller and Moulton, at least along the network in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. But those in the 239 know there is a bonus hour, which is merely 59 minutes away. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. We'll talk about a different form of racing, the Miami Grand Prix, coming up in a little less than 40 minutes. But our buddy Kurt Becker is kind enough to join us. Horse Racing Network, the Derby, is a little more than 48 hours away. You can follow Kurt on Twitter at Becker Trackside. Becker Trackside. Kurt, it is David and Mark. How are you and your family doing?
Everybody's good. Good to be back with you, fellas. It's a fun time of year. It's shaping up to be quite a race on Saturday.
Well, talk about the week heading up. I know, a horse, I think it was Verified, dumped his rider yesterday. It might be wet. Just an overview of how the week's gone so far in Louisville.
It has. It's been eventful. And you're right. Earlier today, in fact, just a few minutes ago, Verifying, who I thought prior to the post position draw had a pretty good shot in the Derby, unseated his rider. Those things happen during morning workouts from time to time. It seems like it doesn't usually happen with a Derby caliber horse. But, Verifying was a horse that I got to see at Keeneland in Lexington, Kentucky, where I call races. He was runner-up a few weeks ago in our signature race, the Toyota Bluegrass. I thought he might have a pretty good shot until the draw came out. When he drew the number 2 post position, I just think he's going to have too much traffic to overcome starting down toward the rail like that.
Brad Cox owns him, trains him, and he's got 4 horses. He's a Louisville guy. He's got 4 horses in the race. Can I even go back a few days earlier? There have been, 4 horses with 3 different owners who have died in the last handful of days for various reasons. I think, Kurt, a lot of people in the industry are trying to say, yeah, this is just a crazy series of events. But this sport has been dogged by this in the past, and it brings up the fact that Maryland and New York seem to have better standards for horses than Kentucky. What can you tell us about the last 5 days?
I think that one thing is the fact that given that it's Derby week and it's Churchill Downs, there is a lot more focus on what's going on at Churchill. Sometimes I'm a little skeptical when people say, well, you don't see this happening in other jurisdictions. My first reaction is it not happening? Is it a case where there's not as much attention being paid? Because the eyes of the racing world and even the eyes of people who don't follow racing are especially focused this week. Now, that said, I think one of the main areas of concern, and I know that one area in particular where a lot of folks are holding their breath as we prepare for Saturday. Regrettably, there were 2 horses from the barn of trainer Sappy Joseph that ran races at Churchill within the last few days and then collapsed and died of a heart attack after the race. Sappy is the trainer of a horse named Lord Miles, who's a long shot in the Derby, who pulled a big upset in the Wood Memorial at Aqueduct a few weeks ago. And I think that right now, anytime you have a rarity, and it is rare for a horse just to collapse and die after a race, when it happens not once but twice, coming out of the same barn. I think it starts leading to a lot of speculation. Social media doesn't help because people wildly speculate. And I just hope that as we go towards Saturday, and I do, to answer your question directly, I think that from what I see as a track announcer who works in Kentucky, I think the Kentucky Racing Commission does a good job with their staff. I know that our safety staff at Keeneland, I'm biased. I think that Dr. Stuart Brown and his group do a tremendous job. That said, there always needs to be a lot of transparency, especially with protocols, guys, because what I don't like is when something happens like we saw with some of these breakdowns and these deaths this week. I don't like when people start speculating in a crazy fashion on social media. What I do think that folks should demand is transparency. What are the policies? What does the Kentucky Racing Commission have on the books? How will they deal with this going forward?
All right, let's get to the race and the horses that are in it. Forte is the favorite. It may rain on Saturday. Forte looked great in the Florida Derby. What can you tell us about this horse, the 3-1 favorite to win the Derby?
Here's a horse he's won 6 of his 7 races, and everybody keeps trying to find a flaw somewhere with this horse. I don't know when the last time was I saw a horse who really has done nothing wrong. He lost the second start of his career. Since then, he's won 5 in a row, including the Florida Derby at Gulfstream back on the 1st of April. And he comes from the barn of Todd Pletcher, who's won the Derby before. He's got Irad Ortiz Jr., the jockey, who's one of the winningest jockeys in New York and in all of North America. Yet, so many people keep saying, yeah, but he hasn't overwhelmed me. And I think a big part of that, guys, is he appeared to struggle to beat a price horse, kind of a long shot in the stretch run of that Florida Derby. I hate going with chalk, but I can't go against this horse. I think his post position draw was ideal. He drew post 15. I think that gives him a chance to be outside all the traffic, to give his jock a chance to pick the position where he wants to be. And I think if you're going to win Saturday, you're going to have to go through Forte.
Should you just bet the 2 Pletcher horses? Because Tapit Trice in the 5-hole is right now the second betting favorite, or at least opened as the second betting favorite at 5-1.
Well, stranger things have happened. My only concern about Tapit Trice, this might get me fired at Keeneland, because Tapit Trice is very much a horse connected to Keeneland Racecourse in Kentucky, where he was $1 million yearling. He came out of one of their auctions. He's owned by the famous Gainesway stable that's been around a long time at the top level, that's based in Lexington. He's also owned by Amanda Pope. Mandy has invested a lot of money in this game. She has never owned a Triple Crown race winner. I know it would mean the world to Mandy Pope. It would mean everything to Keeneland. Keeneland, look, let's get it out there. Where I work, the Toyota Bluegrass, our signature Derby prep, no winner of the Bluegrass has won the Derby since Strike the Gold in 1991. I will promise you, on every level, Keeneland's going to be cheering for that horse on Saturday. Here's the problem. He is so sluggish getting into stride. And I'm afraid, guys, that Tapit Trice is going to be stuck behind so much traffic. I think he'll get a piece of it. I think he could be second or third. I'm skeptical if he wins, because he's going to have so much work to do, I'm afraid. The good news is he's got Luis Saez, and Luis is a very aggressive jock. If anybody can get him there, Luis can.
All right, Angel of Empire won the Arkansas Derby and is right in the 14-hole, right next to Forte. Talk about that horse.
Well, here we go. I mean, this is what I love about thoroughbred racing. There are 2 camps on Angel of Empire. One of the Brad Cox horses, he's the trainer. The Angel of Empire, if you go back and look at the Arkansas Derby, which was the race that he won in his most recent prep race back around the end of March, there's one school of thought that says, man, that horse, he had a sustained run for the final half mile. That's what you want for the Derby. He is crying out for a mile and a quarter. The distance will suit him great. He's bred to get the distance. All systems are go. On the other side of it, other people are saying, no. He had to be used so hard over that final half mile of the Arkansas Derby. The thought is it took too much out of him. He, even with the rest up, he's been resting since April 1st. It's going to be too much to ask. Here's my concern about Angel Empire. I think he's fine. I don't think the Arkansas Derby took anything out of him. My concern is Flavian Pratt. I just don't know. Flavian's won the Derby before, but sometimes I don't know which Flavian Pratt shows up. There are days he looks brilliant. There are other days he makes moves that are confusing to me. That said, the next race I ride will be my first.
All right. And correct me if I'm wrong, Kurt Becker, Horse Racing Network. I believe 3 of the last 5 Derby winners have come from the far outside, and we've had 2 long shots in recent years pay. We have both combinations at work in this field. 4 horses, 30 to 1 or higher, are positioned between 16 and 20. Is there anybody from the far outside worth a flyer?
I am not a big fan of any of those horses that you mentioned in post 16 through 20. Look, one of them is one of the Japanese horses, Derma Sotogake. A lot of folks are saying he's a monster. I am not a fan of his, mainly because of his breeding. I just am skeptical. It seems like, his sire line is more of a 1 mile type of horse. So if you're going to pin me down, the one horse I would pick out of that group, maybe number 16, Raise Kane. He's 50 to 1 on the morning line. He is a horse that pulled a big upset in one of his prep races back in March out of New York. And I think Raise Kane is a horse. If I'm picking one of those, I think he will love the distance. I think he's going to be running late, and I might throw a couple of bucks on him just to see what happens.
Any other high odd horses that you think are worth putting a shekel on?
Yes. Well, and I'm glad you asked, because number 11, Disarm. This horse could be a huge story. He's owned by Ron Winchell. He's trained by Steve Asmussen. These are the connections that a year ago had the favorite Epicenter. And Epicenter, of course, got caught in the final strides by the crazy long shot Rich Strike. Well, this year, hardly anybody's talking about these connections. They've got Disarm, post 11, 30 to 1 on the morning line. He was 3rd in his most recent prep. He was 2nd before that in the Louisiana Derby. And I think he's a dangerous horse. If you like Kingsbarn, and a lot of people love the horse Kingsbarn because he won the Louisiana Derby, I keep telling people, if you like Kingsbarn that much, you've got to have some respect for Disarm, who was runner-up to him in Louisiana.
He's Kurt Becker, Horse Racing Radio Network. Follow him on Twitter at Becker Trackside, Becker Trackside. Kurt, as always, appreciate your time and your insight. We wish you all the best. We'll talk in 2 weeks.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686. or book on saltlifetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
You know, if you follow a mediocre program like Sparty, and this isn't me, but there's, a couple of the Sparty older guys at the club. This transfer portal thing has these old guys just completely distraught.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just completely distraught.
Yep. It's okay if the coaches can operate that way, but not the players.
And it's one guy, and he's in his 80s, and I love him to death. He gets it. It's just every time he walks up to me, he goes, "We lost 2 more. What's going on?" And he's not a Tucker guy, so it drives him nuts.
Which is funny because I actually think Tucker is the kind of coach that 6 or 7 out of 10 years will benefit by the portal. I think he will get more players than he will lose over time.
I think you're right.
But he may have years where it's all about a quarterback.
Hey, I'm approaching this F1 thing from the event, not of who's going to win. I don't know about you.
Oh, yeah.
Is it working?
Yeah. The guy,
F1 in the States, things like that. It's not like.
Because what are we up to now? Are we up to 4 races with Vegas or 3?
3, right? Austin, Miami, Vegas. Where's the other one?
I thought
Austin was first. Miami was second. Vegas is third, I thought. Felipe, is there a 4th F1 race in the States? Miami, Austin, Vegas. Where else is there an F1 race in the United States? There's one in Canada, right? Do they still have one?
Does California have one?
I don't believe so.
Doesn't look like it. Nope. It looks like it's Austin, Miami, Vegas.
Yeah. I think it's just 3. Well, for now.
That's a lot.
It is.
I think they'll add a 4th. I think they'll add one in California.
Why? You've got Vegas.
That's so true.
I don't think you're wrong, Tom, but I don't think he was going to give us much more than that. We brought up the subject. He answered it thoroughly. He's not going to bash the sport that provides him his living either.
It is actually crazy that, just when it's not F1 season, that around the complex of Hard Rock Stadium, there just is an F1 track laid out there. The track is there, lines and everything. It's just
my drivers kept their mouth shut last year because they wanted the event to go well, but I don't think the drivers liked the track.
No, they hate it.
And when it was over, they kind of said, "Yeah, that sucked." They love
Adam, I'm
Miami.
totally with you at the harness races. That was always my go-to when I went to the harness races as a young man. And
I mean, it's hard, really.
Don't know, Heidi. I'm trying to get a hold of him.
Oh, the guy that walks the crowd? See if he's going to get dissed by everybody again this year?
No, but also we actually had a guest on last year. Remember, we had an overseas guest talking F1 last year.
10 seconds. Oh, I remember that. I had to call him.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
$21 past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Adam Stern, who covers F1 racing. And we got the Miami Grand Prix Sunday. He'll join us in a little less than 20 minutes. So just to review, Kurt Becker, Horse Racing Radio Network, was on. We didn't have time at the end to say, okay, give us your trifecta. But based on the questions we asked, is this a fair summary? He's going with the favorite Forte,
right,
to win. The second betting favorite is in the 5-hole. It's Tapit Trice, also trained by Pletcher, and he's going for Tapit Trice to be in the money. And then the long shot that he'll throw in is Disarm, the 11 horse, which opened at 30-1. That's three of his, 4 horses that he'll probably rotate and bet. It sounds like those are 3 of the 4.
And David and I love the Derby. I love horse racing. We got into the fact that 4 horses died. We got a text immediately that said 4 horses died. Horse racing should be outlawed. I know it bothers some people out there. My wife's best friend works in the horse business. She watches the Derby every year and wants to make sure no horses are injured. Doesn't care who wins, doesn't care who loses, just wants to make sure all the horses are standing when it's over. So I understand where that listener is coming from.
3 different trainers for the 4 horses. So 2 from one barn, but then the other 2 from different barns. But remember, racing had this, what was it, out in California? Where was the track?
Santa Anita.
It was like 30-something horses that died in the span of a year. It was just ridiculous a couple of years ago. But here they are within 5 days of the Derby, and all of a sudden, 4 horses drop.
And this is more that you will hear about that than the entire Derby coverage put together.
Which is amazing because I believe the pre-race show is almost 4 hours. Do you know when this race now goes to post?
What, 6:37?
Add 20 minutes.
Not until it's nearly 7 o'clock, huh?
6:57 is now when the race is scheduled to start. Well, think about that. The Heat and the Knicks are playing at 3:30 Saturday. You can watch that whole game. The whole game. Don't even worry about it. Hell, they could probably go overtime. Flip over to NBC, catch the Derby. Don't even worry about it. By the way, grab some food. And then 8 o'clock, I think Lakers Warriors or something like that.
That's perfect. Right after post-Derby coverage.
Yeah, or, there'll be a hockey playoff game. No Panthers Leafs, though. They moved that to Sunday because the guy who owns the favorite in the race also owns the Florida Panthers. Called up Gary Bettman and said, I'd really like to see both if I could. Can you move the hockey game? I said, okay, we can do that.
For the record, Edmonton and Vegas, puck drop 7 p.m. The Derby can finish, and you can literally go right to the hockey game.
You could. That's true. You go from the Derby to Connor McDavid. Not the worst thing in the world. So there you go. Going to try to get another Derby guest tomorrow. See if we can hear, a couple of other horses. I'm going to try to find a long shot. Just between what's happened recently in this race and the way the sports world's going right now, I got to find 30 to 1 or better a horse to throw in there. I got to do it.
First off, you're not wrong based on what's happened. And secondly, you roll that horse across the board and just hope.
So there you go. That's Kurt Becker's scouting report. And, we'll see what happens. We'll talk to him in 2 weeks before the Preakness. And I'm saying it again. There's a guy, you got to pay for his picks, but CBS Sports hired him on Sportsline, and they're claiming basically if it's a big race in the last 2 years, he's nailed it. 10 out of the last 4 Oaks and Derby winners, and, the Breeders last year, and 3 Belmonts in a row. Okay. All right. So you like the Oaks. You get going on Friday. Like if we go next year, which will be the 150th Derby, by the way, if we can go, you're into the Oaks.
Yeah, we're leaving Thursday after the show. We're there Friday morning to do our show for the Derby and the Oaks. And I could have done 2 segments with Kurt Becker. We didn't even get a chance to start me getting into the Oaks. Wet Paint's your favorite at 5-2, Botanical at 4-1. But by name alone, it's a Pletcher horse by the name of Gambling Girl, 15-1. How do you and I not go with Gambling Girl at 15-1 for a Todd Pletcher horse?
Well, not only that, this could be, if you're into that sort of thing, kind of like last week in racing. What was it? It was a Truex weekend. Younger brother winning on Saturday, older brother winning on the rain-delayed race Monday. Could this be a Pletcher weekend, Mark? I mean, could this be a Pletcher weekend? He's got the 2 betting favorites. Okay, he's also got a King's Barn, who's at 12-1, is one of the 5 best odds horses in the race. I mean, he's got a hell of a shot to win this thing. And he's got the horse you like at the Oaks. I just say you bet Pletcher for the weekend. If you bet Pletcher horses for the weekend, you think you make money?
I don't know, because Brad Cox, who's got 4 in the Derby, he's got 2 in the Oaks, and they're the 2 odds-on favorites. Both Botanical and Wet Paint are Brad Cox horses. So that's...
Got to admit, I like the sound of Wet Paint. Is it going to rain Friday at all? Is it going to rain tomorrow?
Saturday. I don't know what Friday's weather is. There's a chance it's going to be sloppy on Saturday.
I was going to say, because if it was raining at all tomorrow, how do you not bet Wet Paint in the rain? That's all. I got to check the forecast.
Very, very scientific analysis going on right now.
Totally.
Moulton.
Absolutely.
I like Gambling Girl because of the name. David likes Wet Paint if it's going to be, wait for it, wet.
Listen, I'm still getting over having the winner in the Derby a couple years ago, and they took the damn win away from him. Bogus. It's such crap. Okay. In which all of a sudden.
You're talking about maximum security?
And the Kentucky racing stewards got as soft as the damn NBA. Give me a break. Going at 35 miles an hour.
David. We'll hear more about that later in the show.
Yeah, thanks. Great. It's the last time I had a Derby winner. Then they took it away from me.
You were so pissed.
I was. Pounded the table for that horse. Okay, not only that, drew the horse at your Derby party.
Yes, you did.
So on the air, I was saying this is the horse that's going to win, and then actually got the horse out of the hat. I'm like, this is my day.
First disqualification in the history of the Kentucky Derby, and Moulton had the horse that was the winner that was disqualified. If you ever wonder why we've called him mush from time to time, that pretty much explains it in its entirety.
So took me a few years to get over it. And by over it, well, I'm not over it.
I was going to say.
But at least I could talk about it. Took 4 years just to be able to talk about it. Have I brought it up? Have I brought it up since the Monday or Tuesday after that race? Have I mentioned it in 4 years? We've done a show just about every day during those 4 years. Have I mentioned it once?
Not that I recall, Senator. But yes, Maximum Security was the horse in question that was disqualified 4 years ago to the day.
Shut up. Adam Stern to talk about the Miami Grand Prix. And if you think we don't know a whole lot about the Derby, wait until we talk about the Grand Prix. I'm going to try not to ask a question like, man, those cars are shiny, huh?
How fast are they?
Left and right turns, I hear. How about that? Miller and Moulton. Hey, the show's free. You can't complain that much.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
It really disappoints me that for some reason old people just don't like it when players have fun playing baseball these days. Like there's people mad about the Wander Franco.
Oh, yeah.
Why? He got him.
He was hot dogging it, and watch what happens when he comes up to the plate tonight. He's getting plunked.
Cool.
You think the Pirates are going to hit him?
Oh, yeah.
Cool. A Rosarina will just bring him in.
No, hey,
like,
all right. I have no problem with it. None whatsoever. But he's going to get plunked because baseball's stupid.
It doesn't have to be stupid, but people make it stupid. People get butthurt for the stupidest things. My God.
Hey,
grow up.
It's not just old baseball fan. It's baseball player and baseball manager.
My God. People are so sensitive nowadays.
Yes, they are.
People want to talk about my generation being soft.
It is your generation that's soft. Why do you
Why
mean?
are old people pissed off about that? That's like the softest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Well, it's because when they played and watched, you couldn't do that.
Oh, there was more respect for the game.
No, but it was just, no, it was not even an option. I mean, Reggie Jackson was considered a hot dog. Reggie did nothing, honestly. He just ran his mouth. And Reggie had no problem bringing attention onto himself. And a lot of people didn't like him 50 years ago because of it. Hey, there were people who hated Pete Rose. Mark, how many people when Pete would walk or get hit by a pitch and he would race down to first?
He would actually.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
no. He'd run
Charlie
hard.
Hustle.
Yeah, Charlie Hustle. No. If he walked, he'd throw the bat and he'd run down to first.
Oh, that's
as if
funny.
he had hit the ball.
That's funny.
Yep. Yeah. How do you think that went over in Major League Baseball in the 60s and 70s?
Oh man. That's the thing. The fans love it. Like if I saw Pete Rose sprinting to first base at the stadium after getting walked, I'd laugh my ass off.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome. Yeah, no. They're the best team in baseball.
Here's my thing, though, Felipe. I have no problem with the hitters showing emotion and,
bat flipping
and they want to strut and what have you.
Mhm.
But if you're going to allow the hitters to do it, then if a pitcher's got 2 out, 2 on, and he strikes you out,
right?
Because like Mark, Dennis Eckersley, when he would close the game, and if he punched you out, he gave it that big underhanded wind up, and he pointed right at you, like, got you.
Well, and I can't think of his name. Who's the pitcher that curses at guys?
Oh, a lot of.
No. He yells at the batters, and there's one of them that's like he's kind of known for it.
See, that's my thing. If you're going to allow the hitters, Acuna, I love Acuna too. I really do. And he plays for the Braves, and he may be my favorite player. God, I just hope he stays healthy.
Acuna.
His stats so far, 5 weeks into this season, are ridiculous, and he's a leadoff hitter.
Get our guy here, Felipe.
They're 21-10. Yeah.
Oh, they're winning the World Series. It's the Braves-Rays World Series.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Hope to preview the Miami Grand Prix, which is Sunday. Reaching out to Adam Stern of Sports Business Journal. Having a hard time getting a hold of him right now. Hopefully we can make that connection in the next 15 or so minutes. Second Grand Prix. What do we got now? We got 3 F1 races in the States?
Austin, Miami, and Vegas this year, right?
All right. How much money would you pay for Vegas?
This is bigger on your bucket list than mine, because I don't know if I would spend what it takes to get in.
Well, I don't know that either one of us would either, because I think you need a comma to be able to get in.
But see, I'd do it with the comma for the Derby.
Especially next year, 150th Derby.
To be in the, to be where the people are, so to speak.
By the way, if we go next year, I don't know if I can wear a hat. You know how big my head is.
That's why you have to wear a hat.
It won't look good. I'm just warning you right now.
I'm thinking big top hat, like the Monopoly guy.
We'll see a few of those in Miami on the weekend. It's the Grand Prix. Adam Stern, he's got a few responsibilities for Sports Business Journal. One of them is covering motorsports. You can follow Adam on Twitter at @A_S12. @A_S12. Adam, it's David and Mark. Thanks for doing this. How are you?
Doing well. Good morning, all.
All right. Now that the first one came and went, can we tell the truth? How well did it go over with the drivers and the race teams? Did they like it, or did they just grit their teeth?
That's a great question. I mean, I think there were certain elements of last year that they liked. I mean, clearly they like the fact that they're getting more popular in America, that, the drivers, certainly there's elements of them that like the fact that they're becoming big celebrities in America. There was a lot of sponsor activation last year. There was a lot of buzz around a major city in America, at a time when their sport was kind of taking off. So I think there was certainly elements of liking last year for sure. Obviously NFL is the biggest sport in America. This event is, a race around an NFL stadium. The Dolphins were getting their players. Also, I think there was a lot of cool things that they did like. On the other hand, the race wasn't the most exciting last year. There was some issues that the drivers claimed that they had with the track. Those have kind of been addressed for this year, but, there were some things that annoyed them last year in terms of the race. The paddock area was very packed on race day, so the Dolphins have kind of changed things for this year where that is, and hoping to make it a little bit less packed in that area. That annoyed some people last year with the teams and the drivers. So look, there were some growing pains last year to be sure, but I think, there was a lot of things that people like too. And, it's part of F1's growth story in America. We'll see if the Dolphins are kind of able to avoid this sophomore slump, and they haven't announced the sellout yet. So, there are those elements that you look out for in a second year after an event goes pretty well in the first year, but it's always tough to match them the second year. So I think, look, the F1 industry definitely likes Miami. I think F1 is still bullish on Miami as an event, but it's not easy to make these events successful long term. They're very expensive to make happen. Then you have to have a lot of fans come in to produce the revenue to balance the book. So it's a tough deal to make it work, but I think the F1 industry remains hopeful on Miami.
Adam, how do you, if there was problems with the track, help me. How do you fix a track that's the same course as it was last year?
They repaved it. So they worked with kind of this architectural firm or firm that does a lot in racing, kind of with racetracks. And so they addressed some of the issue. I think there was also an issue with just a way one of the turns was kind of angled to the point where the drivers felt like it was a more dangerous angle, just the way that the track had been constructed. So I think they changed that for this year. It's little things like that. It was nothing too big, but the surface last year, I think there was elements about it that they didn't like. So yeah, they just repaved it, kind of like what you would do on your local street if there's a big pothole. So that's what they've done to change some elements of kind of the angles of some of the track, where there was a kind of a bad angle where if you got into a crash, it would hurt you more than if they changed it. So they've done some things here and there to try and hopefully make for a more exciting race this year. Make sure it was a safe race again this year. It was a fairly safe race last year, but there was just some things that concerned drivers that if the worst case scenario happened, it could be unsafe. So, they've repaved the track, and last year's race wasn't the most exciting, but that's not really the Dolphins' fault. All the Dolphins can do is put kind of a great race circuit together and put a great event together, and then Formula One has to deliver a great race.
He's Adam Stern, Sports Business Journal. Follow him on Twitter, _S12, _S12. Is 3 F1 races in the States too many? Can the U.S. Can we pull off 3? I mean, Vegas seems like it's going to be amazing, but then again, last year Miami was amazing too. And Austin seems to be established. People like it, but Adam, do you think the States can pull off 3 F1 races? And granted, it's February, it's May, it's November, but can we do this?
It's a really great question. And that's what's so fascinating about this event is this is some of the first evidence we're seeing. Now Miami has more competition. We spoke with the president of the event, Tyler Epp, and what he said to us is he's fully supportive. They're all fully supportive of what F1's doing overall. They're not worried at all about Vegas coming online. But this is kind of fascinating. Now we have a third race. Now Vegas has now Miami has a little bit more competition. And again, while Tyler Epp, the president of the event, told us that he expects to announce a sellout at some point this week, they haven't done so yet, and we're now at Thursday. And you look at the inaugural event last year, they announced that they had sold out of premium and grandstand seats in October of 2021 for the 2022 inaugural race in May. So, we're already seeing a little bit of softness with ticket sales. Now, they say that they expanded capacity this year, which is true. So, I guess theoretically it was maybe a little bit tougher to sell out this year because they've expanded the capacity. but we're already seeing kind of now a little bit of early evidence of, is this the Miami effect? Of course, it could be that, some people came and experienced the race last year and they, whether they thought the ticket prices were too high or it was just a bucket list event for them, they only wanted to go once. It could be many different things, but the fact that they haven't sold out yet for this event, it is kind of one of the first indicators of what your question is asking is, is 3 races too much? So look, clearly they're going to be able to pull off the event. There's still going to be a pretty solid crowd. And then Vegas, to your point, is shaping up to be quite spectacular this year. But look, Vegas is going to face the same thing next year. They're going to have their inaugural event this year, and then next year they're going to have to match it. And they're investing a ton of money into that event. Liberty Media is investing $500 million into that event. That's a lot of cost that they're going to have to eventually get revenue to match and balance. So it's not easy to make these events work. They're very expensive. And then you have to have a lot of fans come and be willing to pay these premium ticket prices and do so for multiple years to make it all work. So the jury's still out on whether 3 events works. The kind of core European fans, they really dislike that America has 3 events. That's kind of really, rankled them. But the F1 kind of wants to grow in America. They see this as a growth market. And so for right now, America has more races than any other place on earth.
With the race not being on Mother's Day this weekend, we thought that would help Miami, not hurt it. And right now, without the sellout, I'm surprised that they're at that position. When you look at where the financial part of this, you talked about tickets and sponsorship. Just help us with what's the most important thing. In the NFL, the TV money is the most important thing. Where is the ticket part as far as F1 is? How, as far as the revenue, is that the number one revenue generator, or is it still sponsor driven for each event?
That's a great question. Media dollars are definitely the biggest, I'd say, for Formula One, but tickets are not far behind. And also it's partially, how you split it. I mean, the ticket, for example, F1 as a sport gets a lot of media rights dollars, but those don't all go to the promoter. The promoter kind of pays a rights fee, and then they're able to keep the ticket revenue, the merch, the F&B. So it's not the promoters who are really sharing in the media rights dollars as much, at least in Formula One. Now, the way they structure their deals, that it kind of works out for them. They don't have to pay as much as they might if they were going to share in the media rights. So they've got a system that kind of works for them. But yes, I mean, for promoters, they definitely need high ticket sales to kind of make it all work. But the sport itself, it's similar to other sports in America where the media dollars are the biggest revenue stream.
Is F1 competitive enough? I mean, I'm not pretending that I watch every week because I don't. But I know Max Verstappen has been dominating this tour for a while. I guess he has a teammate, Sergio Perez, who's made some inroads lately. Charles Leclerc, I know, won the pole on this race last year. He's the 3rd best betting odds. And we all know who Lewis Hamilton is, whether we follow F1 or not. But Adam, is there enough competition in F1? It seems as if it's the same 2-3 drivers every week.
You just hit the absolute nail on the head. It's probably the most important thing going on for F1 right now, I would argue. They've gotten America exposed to what F1 is. People in America know what F1 is now. A couple years ago, before the pandemic, many people in America, they literally might not have known what it was, or just in passing they'd heard before, but they never really paid attention to it. F1 no longer has a problem of awareness. The problem they have now is everyone knows what their product is, but it's not competitive enough. And in America, we're a fickle bunch of folks. We like to be entertained, and if we're not entertained, we're going to turn the channel, turn on Twitter, and kind of start moaning about it. And, other cultures, you don't have that quite as much. For example, you look at soccer, you see Americans complain about ties all the time, let alone a 0-0 tie in soccer. Whereas in other cultures, they're a little bit more permissive of 0-0 ties and maybe not, they don't hate it quite as much as you see people in America say they do. I think it's something similar with Formula One. They have to ultimately put a competitive product on the track or on the playing field, or else people are just not going to watch long term. They're going to say, okay, I know what this is. I checked it out. I checked the box, and I'm moving on now. The Super Bowl, we don't all tune in, to the Super Bowl every year and NFL every year. It's not the most competitive sport in America just because people like to watch rich people in the stands. It's because the sport is very competitive, very exciting every week. So if Formula One can't figure out how to make their sport more exciting, it is going to limit their growth in America, I believe. And that's something we're going to watch out for over the next year or two. It's one of the most important things going on in the sport, I would say.
Adam, thanks for doing this. You really educated us. We really appreciate it. Have a great stay in South Florida. Enjoy the Grand Prix, and hopefully we can talk again.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Adam Stern, he covers motorsports among his beats for Sports Business Journal. Follow him on Twitter, _S12, _S12.
Interesting that the event's not sold out.
Yeah. I didn't even give it a second thought. I figured, like, we knew last year that race was sold out 6 months in advance. I figured, well, at least it'd be sold out. I will say, I mean, we knew the buzz last year. It not nearly. I mean, 8% of the buzz this year of what it had last year. Is that fair?
I think it's 100% accurate. It was talked about people on our show in the Twitch chat room without us bringing it up. Hey, what do you think about? Now, we do have a listener who's let us know he's got tickets this year. Probably couldn't get them a year ago. And they're not cheap.
No, they are not.
He's got 2 great seats. They're $1,200 per seat.
Hello.
But that takes a lot of people out. I mean, if the NASCAR fan wanted to go see the F1 race and looked at the prices, they'd lose their mind.
Right. And we have the advantage because we live in the state. In theory, we could make an unbelievably long day of it and not even pay for a hotel, if you know what I mean. But obviously, if you're paying that much for a ticket and you want to throw in a room in and around an event in a major city like Miami, in which, oh, by the way, you'll have the Stanley Cup playoffs and the NBA playoffs also going on. There's going to be a lot of hotel rooms available. Oh, just plentiful. And by plentiful, we mean 4. There are 4 rooms available in a 3-county area. 4. Good luck. It's like a college graduation. Did you ever go online late? You're like, oh, man. Okay, I need 2 rooms. College graduation weekend.
Somehow I think you just did that.
Recently, as a matter of fact, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Didn't work out that well for you.
Put it this way, used a lot more points than I thought I was ever going to have to. Yes, fortunately I had them. But Miami Grand Prix Sunday, 3:30, ABC. Remember last year it was just a zoo. Anybody who was anybody was at the race. You had the guy from Sky Sports who didn't know who, was it like Brad Pitt, Serena? Who did he not know?
Might have been Serena.
Right. Didn't know anybody who was American.
But Brad Pitt wanted nothing to do with him.
Gotcha.
I think if my memory serves me right, it was that he was trying to get some people and they had wanted nothing to do with him. He got just walked right by.
So
made for awkward and great television at the same time.
I couldn't take my eyes off it. I felt like I was watching like the pre-show of the Oscars.
Tampa, St. Pete, Lake City, Port Charlotte, and Venice. We'll do this again tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Join us in the 239 for the bonus hour. That is next right here on the Florida Sports Network. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Life Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlifetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
David? Someone suggested that you wear one of those huge baseball hats.
Oh, like the big hats? Yes.
You know what?
Yes.
I like that.
That would
I
be
like
incredible. You should
I
wear
like
that for a Monday Night Football game.
Should
that's funny.
saw the look Buck gave me last year when I put on the Halloween costume. Aikman loved it. Buck looked at me like, we got to find somebody else.
That's what he was. He thought Bancaro was Mahomes. That was, people are texting that in.
That was that guy?
Not the guy we had on. The Sun Sports guy that walks around and interviews everybody. Yeah, that was the...
Right. He thought Paulo Bancaro was Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
Right.
That's what it was.
And he didn't know who Dwayne Wade was.
He didn't know who Dan Marino was.
Right. But...
Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't blame you, JS.
So, David, today is Joe Borowski's 52nd birthday.
It's an age-old question. Would you trade it all to be Joe Borowski? You want to do that now?
15 seconds.
Can we do that next segment?
Yeah.
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour, Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us. First Thursday of the month. Hope your week has gone well to this point. Thanks so much for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when, along with our final thoughts and picks coming up in about 40 minutes' time. We were just previewing the Miami Grand Prix last segment, and we wondered aloud with our guest, okay, we're up to 3 F1 races in the States now. We went from 1 to 3 in a year. Is that too many? There was a schedule that came out at the very beginning of the week. We briefly mentioned it. It's actually a much bigger deal in this country than this whole Miami Grand Prix F1 thing. But it's kind of gotten lost in the NFL draft and NBA and NHL playoffs, along with Major League Baseball talk. Mark, tell me, is this going to work? Not this year. This is the final year of, we got the 4 teams in the playoff in college football. But 2024, we're going to 12. And first round on campus. 5 against 12, 6, 11, 7, 10, 8, 9. Third week and weekend of December. Friday, December 20th, they're going to have the first round game on campus, Friday night. Quick sidebar. Did you see what the University of Wisconsin announced yesterday?
I did not.
A heated field. Now, they spent $5.5 million last year to replace the surface at the football stadium. Now they're going to tear it up at the end of this season, and they're going to put a heated field, and it is because they anticipate hosting some playoff games, first-round playoff games. They're anticipating being a 5, 6, 7, or 8 seed. What do you think about that? This ain't cheap, by the way.
No, it's the Big Ten. They've got the money, David. I'm not worried about the money. So what did they get last year? I mean,
well, and starting this year, I think they're getting $70+ million a school.
Correct. So come on. There only can be so many waterfalls in the locker room before you have to spend it on some.
No, I know.
So I'm not worried. The money's nothing to me. It's monopoly money. I think it's bold, and I love it. I love Wisconsin saying, we're going to be a playoff team, even though, well, we've kind of slipped the past couple of years. We'll be back.
But we got Luke Fickell now, and we're hosting playoff games.
Yep.
Okay. So Friday night, December 20th. That's right. Friday before Christmas. Then triple header. Saturday, December 21st. Basically, we could do the start times now. Noon, 4, and 8. They do know there's this little thing called the NFL, right? And at that point of the season, the NFL puts not 1, not 2, but 3 games on the Saturday before Christmas. The third weekend of December is when the NFL starts putting games on Saturday. Mark, last year, week 15, it was December 17th. And some of these games people might remember now that we're mentioning them. The Colts Vikings was that 30-something point comeback by Cousins and the Vikings, and they won 39-36. That was when we all said, well, they can't hire Jeff Saturday. Then Baltimore and Cleveland played a snoozer, 13-3. And then the Dolphins and the Bills played a pretty entertaining 32-29 game. Now, I'm off the top of my head, was that an NFL Network triple header? Or were those spread around on other networks? I kind of thought that was an NFL Network day.
Because in the following weeks, didn't you get a Saturday game?
Yes, we did. Yeah, the last weekend of the regular season, right. Because they don't want teams playing on Monday. Right. We got the Jacksonville, Tennessee showdown for the AFC South. Yeah. So whether it's on NFL Network or not, you're the college football world. The weekend earlier, Mark, there's Army-Navy, and there's no NFL on Saturday. Now, you know my fondness for Army-Navy. I think it's awesome. Great. But the college football playoff, 3 first-round playoff games are going to compete with 3 NFL games. How's it going to do?
I think the NFL Network will still get those games first and foremost.
Well, if I'm college, I hope so.
Well,
please don't put them on Fox, CBS, please, whatever you do. Will also be interesting to see who's televising the noon, 4, and 8 o'clock games on that Saturday.
That's the bigger question. And how many of the networks are carrying the games? Is it?
It's being negotiated right now because ESPN has the contractual rights to them, but the college football world wants more money, and ESPN's like, you do know we're laying off 7,000 people, right?
And the other networks are going, we'll pay.
Exactly. And the NBA's got their hand up going, we've got a negotiation going on. These guys, basically before the college football playoff starts, there are new TV deals in place, and you guys want to still be a part of it. So that's being negotiated, as they like to say. But just your gut feeling, they don't do it the week after conference championship week. So you got 13 or 14 days to get ready for your game. And some teams, Mark, may not even qualify for the conference championship game. Like Alabama did make it last year, and Alabama would have made the playoff. Alabama would have had 20 or 21 days to get ready for hosting, in all likelihood, their 5, 12, or whatever game it would have been.
So would have the Buckeyes.
Correct. So your thoughts on that? One, is it too much time? Because the other thing is, if you move it up the week, you could have 1 or 2 teams who have 6 days to prepare.
I think they had to, for the fan bases, to try to prepare and go and get hotel rooms and get flights and all the things necessary for travel. Even though it's going to be a home game, people travel to those home games and travel distances. So I think that's the first part of it, that they felt they needed the time for conference championship losers, really and truly. Because now you would have been asking people who lost a game on the first weekend of December to then go to another game, potentially home road, the next week.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you're okay with, now let me ask you this. Do you think there will ever come a time in which the schedule gets moved up a week and we're playing the big rivalry games the 3rd weekend of November, and we're actually playing the conference championship games Thanksgiving weekend, so that this playoff can start earlier in December? See, that's my fear. If the NFL makes too big of a dent into this first round, see, this is where I wish college football had a commissioner for this one issue only. Because I think you got to fly to New York, you got to sit down with Goodell, and you got to go, listen, we're giving you a free flipping minor league system. You got to do us a solid here. Stop it with the 3rd Saturday in December games. Just stop it. Your fans don't like it either. Okay, just stop it. Come on. Do one flipping thing for us. Can you do that?
Well, and we know Roger Goodell's history in the NFL of looking at other leagues and saying, yeah, you know what? You're right. For the betterment of all sports, we're going to do what you want. We all know that Roger Goodell gives two blanks about any other league, including the one that supplies him with all of his players for free. David, everything you said is right, and I wish that were the case. But you and I both know Goodell doesn't care about the NCAA and their football programs. He doesn't.
I know he doesn't. The one thing I will say, though, the NFL Network now is as unimportant as it's been in a long time because they don't have Thursday Night Football anymore. You know, they used to have a piece of that and what have you. They don't have that. That's all exclusively Amazon. I mean, you could make – I don't know if the NFL Network needs to exist, to be brutally honest. Like, there's a part of me that wonders if the NFL is going to do the NFL Network what they did to NFL Europe and just say, you know what?
I don't think so. And I know you've talked about this for a while.
It's losing money. They hate to lose money on anything, and it's losing money. I'm just saying. You're probably right. They won't do it. But
They'd sell it before they mothball it.
That's the thing, though. Now it's completely – nobody wants to buy it. They had bidders 2-3 years ago. Nobody's bidding for it now. Okay, quickly. So we get through the weekend before Christmas. Then they're using the bowls. The quarterfinals, New Year's Eve's a Tuesday in a year and a half. Fiesta Bowl. New Year's Day, it's a Wednesday. Peach Bowl at 1, Rose Bowl at 5, Sugar Bowl at 8:30. There's your quarterfinals.
That's delicious.
Then I will say they're finally doing what we advocated for the semis and the finals. Semis, Orange Bowl on a Thursday. Cotton Bowl on a Friday. Because remember, that's either the last weekend of the NFL regular season or it's their first weekend of the playoffs. So they got games Saturday, Sunday, and even Monday. And then, by the way, so at worst case scenario, if you're in the Orange Bowl semifinal, you got at least 8 days. You could have 9. If you're in the Cotton Bowl, you'll have 9 or 10 days to get ready and for fans to make arrangements and what have you. Then, week and a half later, Monday the 20th, which will be interesting because Monday the 20th in 2025 is actually Inauguration Day. But Atlanta will host the national championship game Monday, January 20th. So 10 and 11 days after the semis, they'll play the title game. So they avoid the NFL in the quarters, the semis, and the final. But they're right up against them to start this sucker out.
And I think they're just going to live with that. I think they're just going to have to live with that. And I don't think the NFL will back off of that Saturday. Unless what you said is that if they mothball the NFL Network.
Home games, remember, that weekend. Those are all on campus, December 19th and 20th, the first time we do this. Don't you want to see a couple of northern schools host southern schools? Don't you?
I mean, look, you can almost lock in the Big Ten loser or the second place team in the East every year. It'd be spectacular. Miller and Moulton. Bring back an old topic on the other side, right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Life Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
$20 of making toilet paper, Adam? How much longer are you going to do it? Hey, man, if it's a good job with benefits.
You hiring?
Especially nowadays, Adam. I'd do anything for a job with benefits. Golly. Well, you got the Rays at 1 and the Marlins at 4, RCB.
Here we go.
It's the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kerwin will be on the show tomorrow. Everything else, TBA. Sure, we'll preview Heat Knicks Game 3. And we may also look ahead to the Derby some more. Might actually have somebody from NBC Sports who's broadcasting the Derby on the show tomorrow.
You would think between this market and St. Pete, these are two pretty highly rated markets for horse racing.
Got that right. Got that right. In fact, Southwest Florida routinely outside of Louisville. I mean, don't we finish second?
Second or third every year.
I mean, sometimes Baltimore, edges us out, or is it DC? I don't know, but we have finished.
Usually the Fort Myers market is second to Louisville, Kentucky for the Derby.
Right. And for the Triple Crown races.
Yes.
As a whole. And we finished top 3 for every race, which is just remarkable. Indy 500, Kentucky Derby, Southwest Florida is a monster market for those events. All right. You piqued my interest there, heading a break.
Well, we do this today was a day when every day. And I, at some point today, will do tomorrow's. I go home from the show, and at some point during the day, I'll prep this. Some of my limited prep work. And as I go through the birthdays, I came across that today is Joe Borowski's birthday.
Ah, Joe.
Joe is 52 today, David.
I know he's the pride of Bayonne, New Jersey. Happy birthday, Joe.
And before David and I ever teamed up, which is now how many years ago?
Well, we teamed up in July of 2006. So,
wow.
And we had a year where they said you're no longer allowed to do shows together. So we teamed up 17 years ago, and we've done 16 years.
But before that, David was doing a show one day, and Joe Borowski had 2 kind of careers. He had a nice second half. He had a nice second run. This was before the second run.
Exactly. He'd been released. I was on location, Fort Myers Beach. I forget the place. And I'm doing a show in the middle of summer. And Joe Borowski had been released by the Cubs. He would end up being picked up by the then Devil Rays. But at that time, he had been released. And it was a year and a half removed from him being the closer on the Cubs team that nearly snapped the curse. Remember the 2003 Cubs and, Bartman and the Marlins and the whole deal. He had 33 saves on that team. Okay. So a year and a half after nearly being a hero in the north side of Chicago, he's unemployed. And Mark, said he's likely done. Because once again, I know what I'm talking about. He wasn't done. He had 2 more huge years ahead of him. But I said, if he's done, and I asked the rhetorical question, would you trade it all to be Joe Borowski? And by all, I said, you only get to keep your parents and your brothers and sisters. So would you trade your life for Joe Borowski, who at the time, Mark, I think was, when he got released, was 34.
And you were stunned by the amount of people that would have given everything up to be Joe Borowski.
Joe Borowski, early in his baseball career, had 2 years where he made a little over $100,000. And then what would turn out to be his last full year in the majors for a while, he made about $157,000. Then Joe Borowski went 5 years where he pitched 10 games in the majors. 10 games over 5 years. And then he had the resurgence with the Cubs. He made about $250,000 and then $400,000. And when he nearly helped pitch him to the World Series, he then got paid. He made $2 million, and at the time he got released, $2.3 million. So at that point in time, Mark, in his life, he had made $5.5 million playing baseball. 80% of it in the last 18 months. And I just said $5.5 million, 35 years old, Joe Borowski. Let's assume he's done. Would you trade your life to be Joe Borowski? By the way, Borowski's doing Arizona Diamondback games now. He's had a hell of a second career. And you're right, Mark. It was 60-40. I'd trade everything to be Joe Borowski.
Which meant your wife and kids.
Totally. Once again, you keep your parents and your siblings.
And that's why for me, it would have been easy before I had children. Would have. Yeah, I'd make the trade. Once you bring kids into the world, no.
That was not the answer that I was getting, Mark.
I know.
I'm just telling you, it was 60-40. Nope. The whole, well, go find another one, look just like you, don't know what to tell you.
And what? Johnny Mac makes a hell of a point in the Twitch chat room. Actually, Johnny Mac's wife says that's the premise of a Hallmark movie. It really is.
Huh?
Start writing the script. I am Joe Borowski.
Now, as it turned out, would this change your thinking? That was at the time. Borowski ends up getting picked up a little while later by the Devil Rays. He goes 1-5. The Marlins pick him up in 2006. Remember, bad Marlins team. 2003, they win the World Series. 2004, 2005, they're competitive. The sell-off happens before 2006. Marlins are awful. I think this might be Girardi's year. Anyway, they're awful. He saves 36 games for the Marlins that year. So Cleveland picks him up the next year. Well, the 2007 Indians were a game away from the World Series. And yes, they were the Indians then. He saves 45 games, but his ERA is 5. But he gets paid. He ends up getting released, Mark, late the next season, and he's done at 37 years of age. But those last 2 years in Cleveland made about $8 million. So now you're 37, your career earnings are just under 14 million. Now answer the question. Do you trade it all to be Joe Borowski? You don't know that you're going to get this Diamondbacks gig down the road and you're going to live happily ever after. You're assuming you're done with baseball. You're 37. You made 13.8. Do you trade your life to be Joe Borowski, who really had a remarkable career? He's barely making it in the majors. Then basically for 5 years, he's toiling in the minors. And then has 3 banner seasons. One of them when he's making nothing in the grand scheme of things.
Couldn't do it. Could not do it.
60-40, and this was, so let's see, he got released. This was during the summer of 2005. You had just started doing mornings.
Should have asked me right on that day.
This was, 18 years ago, 60% of you said, oh yeah. Because there were 2 years where he literally pitched once in the majors, but at 12 different years, Joe Borowski appeared in the major leagues. Lifetime record of 22-34, ERA over 4, 131 career saves, basically almost all of them in 3 years.
I mean, next to journeyman in the dictionary, it's got a picture of him. It's so like that of a career.
But 12 years, nearly 14 million. 5 years in the minors also in and around that. And you're done at 37.
It's a no for me.
You get to keep your parents and your siblings. Yay or nay?
No dice. 21,000 is the text line. The age-old Joe Borowski question to you. You can answer it there. You can always tweet at us at the David Moulton or at that Mark Miller. We wrap things up with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was the day when, and what's on tap. That's what's ahead on Joe Borowski Day right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
David, we got to try to get Joe Borowski on the show.
Well, we'll have to pay attention to the schedule.
Right.
Arizona's already come to Miami. They came like first week of the season.
I know. But they'll come east again. He doesn't necessarily have to be in Florida.
Right. You know, I think if I had to, I think I was at the Smoke and Oyster Brewery.
I was going to say that, but it's not there anymore. So
Exactly.
But the kid has opened up something, I think, on Pine Island. If I'm not mistaken, I saw an article in the paper. Like they were in the process of trying to rebuild that, and he opened something else. Matt Lachey, Pine Island, something like that.
Gotcha.
One of these days, I'm going to have to visit Fort Myers Beach again.
Yeah, I don't have the. Nope. Don't want to see it. Will sadden me too much.
That's the way I am.
Have you not been since the hurricane?
No.
Oh man,
a little different. I lived there.
You lived on FMB
when I first moved here.
Wow.
So I don't have a lot of desire to see all that destruction. You know, you went by as someone that was curious and took pictures and that type of stuff. I would get too depressed.
Yeah.
And we spent a ton of time at Fort Myers Beach. Our whole time at Fort Myers, we lived about 15 minutes away. We never had a ton of money. That was our go-to place. Can't tell you the birthday parties we had at establishments there. I mean, that's where we went if we wanted to go eat on the water.
Boy, oh boy, my daughter better be happy with her 9th birthday because it was the most costly damn thing that's ever happened to me. Birthday parties are done.
The hibachi.
Well, first off, the bowling alley, that was a nickel.
Oh, it was bowling alley, then hibachi?
Bowling alley was the Sunday birthday party with her friends.
Oh, right. Gotcha.
Then the hibachi. And then she got a watch from my mother, but the watch is like a smart watch where we can track her and all this stuff. That was a quick $180 for the year subscription that I wasn't expecting.
Oh. So you get the watch and then you pay a subscription.
It's like an Apple Watch. I mean, literally, I've got an app. I can tell you where my daughter is right now.
That's
I know
cool.
she's at school, but
right. Yeah, that's cool.
And I can text her, and I determine, my wife and I determine who can be on that contact list.
I see. Interesting.
The mermaid will be missed, Johnny. Church on Sunday with dollar screwdrivers and dollar bloodies. I hear you.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Home stretch of Miller and Moulton. On this Thursday, thanks for being with us, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. You ever miss any part of the show, go to the website, floridasportsnetwork.com. Felipe does a good job getting the show up there. And there you go. You can download what you missed. So
stars in his own segments that he sends out on Twitter.
Yes, absolutely. But that's okay. All right. That's okay. If that's how we can get this show promoted, I'll make that trade. Little self-promotion there for the young whippersnapper. Okay. For Felipe. Okay. As we're calling him this week since he fell asleep earlier in the week during the show. All right. I'll make that trade, Mark. I don't know about you, but I'm all for it.
Felipe.
I've been called many things, and I have never been called Felipe.
Felipe. You know what they say, if the shoe fits, Felipe.
Whatever.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
By the way, there was a suggestion in the Twitch chat room that the whole life of Joe Borowski should be a Hallmark movie. I recommend Meghan and Harry. He could be Borowski and then she could be the wife.
1869 is where we start today.
Listen, apparently they're in need of money all the time. If I'd start acting again personally, but whatever.
The Cincinnati Red Stockings play their first official baseball game against the Great Western Baseball Club. Cincinnati wins 45-9.
Not so great.
It's not that's a bad ERA for the Great Western Baseball Club.
I can't call it. You got to change the name shortly after that one, don't you?
1871, the first baseball league game. Apparently the first league was the National Association of Baseball Players. Fort Wayne 2, Cleveland 0. Deacon Jim White gets the first hit. It was a double.
Oh, I love the double names.
1878, Edison's phonograph is shown for the first time. 1904, Charles Rolls meets Henry Royce.
Ooh.
meeting would turn out to be pretty good. You know, the Rolls Royce. Summer Games open in Paris today in 24. Hemingway awarded the Pulitzer Prize for Literature for Old Man and the Sea today in 1953. You know it's not a big day when I'm going Pulitzer Prize, David.
I understand.
1965, Willie Mays breaks Mel Ott's National League record with his 512th home run. Today in 1968, the first ABA championship. The Pittsburgh Pipers beat the New Orleans Buccaneers 4-3.
Wow. Yeah, those teams did not stick around much longer either.
The first 2 years I was looking, I had to make sure I kind of double checked that one because it didn't have the team's names correct on the site that I go to. And I looked the next year, like the Oakland Oaks won the ABA. I mean, it was bad television ratings those first 2 years in the ABA, David. Bad television ratings.
Need to get Kentucky Colonels, Virginia Squires involved, Mark. New York Nets.
Today in 69, the Canadians sweep the St. Louis Blues for a 4-game sweep in the Stanley Cup final. This is the wildest thing to me. They expand the NHL. They keep the original 6 in one division. They put the 6 teams in another division so that an expansion team is guaranteed to go to the Stanley Cup final.
And I believe the Blues went each of their first 3 years. Scotty Bowman is head coach, and they went 0-12 in the finals. I think they got swept 3 years in a row.
Would make sense. They didn't give the expansion franchises anything as far as players. It's not like what they did for Vegas or Seattle.
Well, that's 69, right? They lost to the Canadians.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't 70 or flying through the air winning the cup? I think it was against St. Louis.
It was. I know it was against St. Louis. Today in 84, Dave Kingman hit a fly ball that never comes down, stuck in the Metrodome ceiling. 85, Spendabuck wins the Derby. It was the third for Cordero. 96, Grindstone wins the Derby. Jerry Bailey's second Derby. And War Emblem in 2002 wins the Derby. Today in 2018, Albert Pujols collects his 3,000th Major League Baseball hit in a 5-0 win in Seattle. And I mentioned it earlier, but it was 4 years ago today that Maximum Security was disqualified for interference. Long shot, Country Horse declared the winner. The first disqualification in race history for a race infraction.
I still got the ticket.
Someone texted the show that they feel you're paying, David. They had a hundo.
Exactly. I
On
had like
Maximum
20.
Security.
I think I had 20. But also I had I had other winning bets with it.
Well, just the pool at our house was worth a decent amount of money.
Exactly.
That was better. I mean, that's probably $300
Thanks, Mark.
on a $20 bet.
Appreciate that. Yep. Keep
No
talking.
problem.
Keep talking.
Audrey Hepburn would have celebrated a birthday. Mick Mars from Motley Crue is 72. Randy Travis is 64. Dawn Staley and Will Arnett are both 53. Previously mentioned Joe Borowski is 52. Matthew Barnaby is 50. Rory McIlroy is 34. And Victor Oladipo is 31 years old today.
So yesterday was Koepka's birthday, right? Or
Right.
2 days ago, and I asked you, he 33. I asked you, will he win another major? You said yes. And I agreed. Rory's 34. Does he win another major?
David, I knew when I did this that this question was coming up. And Rory just had to cough up $3 million. Well, not cough up $3 million. He's not going to get $3 million. And they played this out like it's a fine. It's basically his bonus money that they're not going to give him the $3 million out of the PIP money.
Right.
Not like he was writing a check, if you know what I mean. But he seems to think that he needed this layoff, that diving in too much and taking on LIV was just the wrong thing for him, and he thinks he's refocused and all that. How do you bet on him? How do you bet on Rory to win another major? I'd say no.
Really?
I want him to. I root for Rory.
So you're yes on Koepka and no on Rory, who, by the way, are both tied with 4. And considering that Phil is 52 years of age, you could make the case that, they're the guys who, whichever one wins the major first, of the guys that we consider, really active, would then be the leaders in golf in terms of career majors.
Do you think he wins another?
I do.
I hope so. I hope I'm wrong.
I do. Now, I don't know that he'll ever win Augusta. I have a feeling that's going to be his Mickelson's U.S. Open, Watson's PGA. I don't think he wins at Augusta. He's not good enough 150 yards in. I'm sorry. He's not. And you don't have to hit the ball straight off the tee to win in the Masters. You can be crooked off the tee and win there. So his driving strength, the length helps him, but the whole accuracy thing isn't as big a deal there. I got one thing was kind of significant because you could make the case this began to change us as a nation. We were 50-50 on Vietnam on this day in 1970. Kent State happened. We became pretty anti being there after Kent State. You know, the 68, 69, half of 70, it was not fun, but it was very 50-50. After today in 1970, we got to start making plans.
I just want to add, and maybe this is just me, or maybe I don't follow golf enough, but I would have never guessed that Rory and Brooks are a year apart. I thought that Brooks was in his 20s. But, yeah, I think Rory will win another one.
By the way, he and Jenna announced yesterday they're pregnant, having their first kid.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
I don't know if David just gave us the good, the bad, or the ugly there.
What? What? Come on now.
Well, you watch the Netflix special. I worry about their parenting skills.
Well, I do too, and I haven't watched the Netflix special.
That's all.
They're both pretty self-absorbed. Children usually force you to change that priority.
For the good, we go to Cape Coral and Penelope Montenegro. She knew what she wanted to be. Career day at school. She wanted to be a firefighter. She came dressed like her dad. Dad works for the Fort Myers Beach Fire District. But some older kids in Penelope school couldn't understand how a girl could be a firefighter. She got snickered at, they made fun of her, and they teased her. Give it up for Cape Coral firefighters that sent the fire department to the school with all of their female firefighters to teach the school about firefighting and to show Penelope that she can be whatever she wants to be. Great job by all involved. For the bad, we go to Minneapolis, where Kelvin Barr of East Bethel was voting on a routine legislative commission meeting. It was a Zoom call. He did so while lying in bed shirtless.
Really
He's a truck driver. He worked till 4:45 and basically couldn't get a shirt on before the vote.
Yeah, try harder next time, dude.
Finally, the ugly. And David, I hate to do this to you. We go to McDonald's.
What?
Louisville McDonald's restaurant, part of a company that owns 60 McDonald's franchises in Kentucky, Indiana, Maryland, and Ohio, has employed 305 children to work more than the legally permitted hours and perform tasks prohibited by law for young workers. They found 2 10-year-old children were working at a Louisville McDonald's restaurant, sometimes until 2 in the morning. How do you get away with that today? Like, I'm serious. How do you have a 10-year-old working at Mickey D's?
I have no idea. First off, as a parent, I don't know how you allow it. When I heard the story, and I don't know if you mentioned it because I was working on something else here quickly, one of the 10-year-olds is working the fryer.
The fryer?
Right. That is against the law, even in Kentucky. I mean, you got to be 16.
I like how you threw it even in Kentucky, though.
Thank you.
They deserved that.
Don't tell me you weren't 5 or 6 of you who weren't thinking the same thing.
And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly. On today, may the 4th be with you.
Do you know it was
23?
Do you know it was today in British Parliament in 94 when the politician on the floor of the Parliament said, "And may the 4th be with you," which caused a huge brouhaha over there because you know what a great sense of humor the Brits have.
Especially in Parliament.
Right. NBA playoffs tonight, game 2, Lakers and Warriors, 9 o'clock ESPN. That's it. It's the only game. Golden State's a 6-point favorite. Home teams are 60%, 30 and 20 so far in the NBA playoffs. Warriors don't want to go down 0-2. Stanley Cup playoffs, we got 2 games tonight. We got the Panthers and the Leafs. It's 7 on TNT. You know Toronto's minus 205?
Yes.
Don't you have to throw a few shekels on the Panthers?
No.
Okay.
You can.
Dallas is minus 210 at home against Seattle after losing game 1. That's at 9:30 on TNT.
Here's the thing, though. I wouldn't have the guts to take the 2-team home parlay. I think they're both going to win. But the way these NHL playoffs have gone, can you really bet 2 home teams on the same night?
Especially after 2 home teams won last night. Like, really? 2 days in a row? Home teams are 21 and 33 so far in the NHL playoffs. 21 and 33. What I'm looking forward to tonight is I think we're going to get a little John Forsland. And will they give him the Kraken? He's been doing Turner. We got a TNT doubleheader tonight. I'm curious, which game do we get him for the Panthers or do we get him for his Kraken? Because he's the voice of the Kraken. Baseball, 10 games today, 9 of them in the afternoon. Rays at 1 o'clock trying to sweep the Pirates. And Marlins at 4 o'clock trying to avoid the sweep at the hands of the Braves. That game's a pick'em, by the way, Braves-Marlins. And Alcantara's not pitching. Interesting.
Verlander back for your Mets pitching in Detroit today. That should be a pretty cool scene.
Trying to avoid the sweep after getting swept in a doubleheader yesterday.
So that's a little of what's on tap tonight across Major League Baseball, hockey, and the NBA.
And golf, the Wells Fargo in Charlotte gets underway for those of you who want a ESPN Plus and then the Golf Channel and that whole sort of thing. Mark, what do you say we do this tomorrow?
I'm game.
On Cinco de Mayo. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again,
Yeah,